over which kind of texture we were talking about, and turns out it's more creamy than butter, ladies and gentlemen. That's this episode. This is episode 6, ladies and gentlemen, of High Noon Safety Meeting. This week we don't have a guest because we had a delightful guest. I keep wondering. Oh, there we go. Okay, it did not actually play. I keep being used to the browser playing whatever. You guys can't see that. Anyway, let me see here. Am I logged into the right chat? I am logged in the right chat for a change. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had a great chat with Jorge Cervantes himself out of Barcelona. Lucky guy, freaking living in Barcelona. Dude's an American from Portland, right? He's not like, or from Ontario, I guess he said Ontario, Oregon. But he's a lucky guy living in freaking Barcelona. Can you imagine? The food there is legendary, the culture, the art. It's an absolutely fantastic city. I have yet to have been there, or I have yet to have gone, or what the fuck? I have yet to, whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. My shoulder guy's kind of killing me right now. But anyway, it's supposed to be wonderful. One of these days, I'd like to go there. Sagrada Familia, that church has been being built for 100 years. It's almost done now. Literally like almost done. They just have to build the steps basically around and put the finishing touches on it. Freaking baller building. Incredible. Anyway, cheers, Atomic. Good to see you. First in the chat. Nice to see my friend. Cheers, SDR. Good to see you as well. Welcome, everybody. Let's switch to live chat, boys and girls, so we can have a less filtered chat experience. There we go. And then, ass, does that hurt? Right. Anyway, I have a pinched nerve. It takes weeks for the thing to go away. Anyway. It's delightful pain, just absolutely delightful. I very much recommend it for all of your worst enemies. Let's see here. Let me find the appropriate things to tell everybody so that we can avoid the cannabis Karens. By the way, speaking of cannabis Karens, I was thinking about something. I was like, yesterday I was talking about how, there's always worse things than the stuff we complain about. And, you have to remember that, like, just because I got some fucking trolls on my channel or something doesn't mean that my life is awful. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of people whose houses got, like, the entire town of Kherson in Ukraine is flooded now. Just completely, it's the fucking flood. It basically looks like a lake, and all of people's houses and everything just ruined, just everything's just fucking trashed because it'll all be moldy and destroyed, just basically the town's just a write-off probably. Anyway, but I was also thinking about this was honestly super gross, but I was like, oh, there's worse fates than either being a cannabis Karen or being infested with cannabis Karens. You could be a slug with slug mites on you. Do you know what slug mites for? Have you ever heard about those? They're pretty fucking horrible.
Slug
so the other day, basically the way this basement is, I can't show you, but the way this basement is, there's basically a slab and then walls. The house is built in 1930s, so they basically built it a little bit different, I guess, than they would probably in the 40s and the 20s, whatever. In the 20s, they used rock piles, and in the 40s, they did a little bit differently. Anyway, in the 30s, they built it this way, and so the advantage of that is actually that the house can settle and move and stuff without stuff cracking. The disadvantage is that there's actually a little crack of effectively dirt. I mean, at the time, it was probably sealed, but it's basically dirt. And so slugs can crawl through there, weirdly enough. That's been a weird discovery for me. Anyway, so every once in a while.
Salt?
Pardon?
Do you spray it with salt?
I haven't, but I totally could. Yeah, they don't come in that often, although I probably should, honestly, because I've gotten a couple of plants in my veg garden killed by slugs before, which was a super surprise. I was like, how the fuck did this die? Like, out of nowhere, there's a plant dead, and all of a sudden I found a fucking slug crawling around.
I've seen them in greenhouses for sure.
Huh, yeah.
Yeah,
they deserve their place in life too. They're part of the evolutionary tree, but at the same time, for plants and stuff, they're kind of a problem, right? But the disgusting thing was I picked it up, and I don't know where it is right now, but I have a grabber. Years ago, I hurt my back, and when I hurt my back, I couldn't bend over and stuff, so I got these grabbers, and ever since they've been really useful for stuff, grabbing something that's out of the way or grabbing a fucking slug on the ground or whatever. And so I pick up this slug with this grabber, and I'm looking at it because I didn't have to hold it with my hand, but I'm literally looking at it right here, and I see all these mites on it. And I'm like, what the ever-loving fuck? And as I'm like tossing it I put it in my compost bin basically, and I'm looking at this thing, and I see these mites just roaming around this thing, and going in its like air hole, basically. I can't remember what that's called, but the duct or whatever. And I'm like, that is disgusting. And I was thinking to myself, are those mites from my floor? I was like, that's disgusting. Where are these mites from? So I look it up. Sure enough, there's a thing called slug mites, and some slugs are basically born with these parasitic mites that are basically inhabit them. And they're not only species specific, but sometimes they're individual specific. So these slugs will be born basically with this little community of mites that stick with that slug until it's dead, pretty much. And it can spread the mites to other slugs as well. So I guess, I don't know, they don't only stick with that slug. But anyway, long story short, there are even worse things than cannabis Karens. There are slug mites. So yeah. Although maybe we should call some of these, honestly, maybe we should call some of these cannabis Karens slug mites, because now I realize they're basically little parasitic mites that crawl in and out of your air hole. Oh, by the way, they drink and eat the blood of the slug. That's how they survive.
Oh, that's
Slug mites. Yeah.
It's terrible. Parasites.
That's pretty
basically.
awful. Yeah. And when you
Yeah.
think of like the cornucopia of life, slug mite is, yeah, it exists too.
It must have a function, otherwise it wouldn't exist, right? So it has some type of
I mean,
evolution.
it fits a niche. What do you want? You know, it doesn't necessarily have to, because we don't really have like system of locks and keys that someone designed. It's just literally some shit that stuff fit into. Like, oh, there's a niche that we could totally fit into. That's what she said. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I should remind everyone that this show does not, under any circumstances, despite the conversation so far, we do not offer any kind of drugs, despite what you might think of our mental state up to now. But actually, we're fairly sober. At least I'm somewhat sober. But in the meantime, I'm hoping to change that a little bit here with a joint. But you cannot, under any circumstances, acquire drugs from this show in any way whatsoever. You can't get them for money, for not money, for a gift, for a borrowing. You can't basically beg them from me. You can't steal them from me. You can't even get them bequeathed to you. There is no amount of money in the world, in the universe, in all of the universes that exist or even don't exist, that will offer you any kind of drugs from this channel. I won't offer you any kind of drugs, whether they be fun drugs or not fun drugs. I don't care what kind of drugs they are. If it's Tylenol, if it's Advil, if it's a Chinese freaking, I was going to say shark fin soup, but we don't really purvey shark fin soup on this show. But whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, if it's a dried goat testicle that you basically imbibe in a wonderful tea, well, you're not going to get it from this show, because again, you cannot get drugs from this show, whatever kind they may be, whether they are goat testicle or otherwise. Also, though, please remember that you cannot, under any circumstances, find extremely dangerous challenges. Let me cue this up. I was apparently sharing something much bigger, just like what your mama just said. That was almost good. It could have been good, but it was almost good. Ladies and gentlemen, extremely dangerous challenges are not found on this show. Challenges that pose an imminent risk of physical injury are never found. Please stop highlighting things randomly. Okay, please stop. There we go. Dangerous or threatening pranks are also not shown. Pranks that lead victims to fear imminent serious physical danger or that create serious emotional distress in minors are not found. Instructions to kill or harm are not found on the show, showing viewers how to perform activities meant to kill or maim others. For example, giving instructions to build a bomb meant to injure or kill others. Hard drug use or its creation, excuse me, is not found. Content that depicts abuse of or giving instructions on how to create hard drugs, such as cocaine or opioids. Hard drugs are defined as drugs that can mostly lead to physical addiction. I add the proviso that sometimes we discuss stories on this show that people will bring up their past, for example, where they've interacted with drugs of one kind or another. Please always assume that those stories are negative. Please understand that the position of Fumidoro, my position of everybody on the show, is that drugs are bad. You should never emulate those stories. Those are always negative stories, and you should, like I said, never under any circumstances feel that we are encouraging you to use drugs. We are very much discouraging you in every possible way to use every single kind of drug, including go testicle, for all I care. Instructional theft or cheating is not shown in this show, showing viewers how to steal tangible goods or promoting dishonest behavior. We would never do that. Hacking is never shown, demonstrating how to use computers or information technology with the intent to steal credentials, compromise personal data, or cause serious harm to others, such as, but not limited to, hacking into social media accounts. And finally, bypassing payment of digital content and services is never shown, showing viewers how to use apps, websites, or other information technology to gain unauthorized access to audio content, audiovisual content, full video games, software, or streaming services that normally require payment. Speaking of payment, you cannot pay, beg, borrow, steal, or any other kind of way to get drugs in the show. I think I have been emphatic on that point. But once again, we have the cannabis Karens / slug mites that continue to report this show for a variety of absurd things. Please remember, you cannot get anything illegal in this show under any circumstances. Cannabis is completely legal to discuss on this show. We are legal where we are both medical and recreational in many cases. We are allowed to talk about it. We are allowed to grow it. We are allowed, in many cases, to give cannabis to our friends if we were so to choose. We don't do that on this show, but we would be able to if we could. It is not illegal in any way. And once again, please do remember that under the 2018 hemp bill, and of course clarified under a number of different circumstances, Cannabis and cannabis sativa even is completely legal to talk about, and of course, in many cases, even ship across state lines, as long as it does not have any THC in it, or a marginal amount of THC, less than, I don't remember the percentage right now. But anyway, long story short, seeds are exempt from those rules. Clones are exempt from those rules. A variety of cannabis products are exempt from those rules. One of the only things that is not exempt is anything that has THC, and we do not purvey anything that has THC in it on this show. So kindly, cannabis cannabis Karens and slug mites, go fuck yourselves, go do something else, find another hobby, because we're honestly just trying to have a nice time here and have a good time. 10 minutes of every fucking show is basically spent telling people what we don't do on this show, thanks to the slug mites, but hey, what are you gonna do? Welcome, Pip Jam. Nice to see you, my friend. Good afternoon to you. Good to see you in the well, I guess it's probably actually dark for him. I was going to say good to see you in the daylight, but actually it's not daylight for him. Good to see everybody. Let's see here. Who do we have? No, I did not. Yeah, thank you for removing that, Atomic. Not even as a joke. Please don't joke about that, because honestly, there are enough fuckwads looking for any opportunity to take down this channel. So please don't even joke that way. Thank you, Atomic, for taking that stuff down. We will not tolerate, as much as we appreciate the jokes. I mean, like, I can't take a joke or something. Long story short, we cannot take these risks. You guys have seen the extraordinary lengths. 3 fucking years now. Some of these trolls are on my ass. I don't know how someone can be that obsessed about somebody, but they are. Other people come also. So we cannot tolerate any kind of shenanigans on this show. We can't tolerate any kind of weird shit. That also goes for, I hate to say it, but every once in a while, Ryan or somebody plays some music on the channel, I'm going to fucking mute them. And if it happens too much, I'm going to basically time them out, stuff like that. So don't do anything that will jeopardize this channel. I know that you guys sometimes don't think about it, you don't mean to, like Ryan, he doesn't mean to cause a problem or anything like that. He wasn't trying to cause any problems anytime he's done it. I understand, but I have seen the incessant, relentless reporting and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, my apologies for how weird sometimes it comes off, but it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you, Al. Cheers, Al. He's saying yellow. I don't know what that is regarding right now, but anyway. Cheers, S Organics. Good to see you, my friend. Cheers, Zesty. Good to see you, buddy. Who else is in here? Old fashioned coffee pot saying, how do you do, fellow kids? Still under the radar with the action. I see coffee pot. Very, very well done. That wasn't very much of a joke, but anyway, it's for the whatever. The jokes are always funnier when you explain them. Cheers, Flora. What's a good word, bud? Let me roll a joint here so that we can actually get the safety meeting started properly. What's the good word?
Not much. Just I don't know. Dealing with a bunch of personal stuff. Have there's some shit going on with my family, so a little stressed out. But
never good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Other than that, just chilling. Got some rosin here to smoke. The thing last night's really been bothering my brain about the Spanish breeding system, and how it's like, because like, I don't know, I've been talking to a lot of people for a lot of years, and they've always given me this assumption, like, like it's a large percentage of the commercial seeds that are actually bred in Spain, and then they go to like the Dutch market and they go to all these other markets, and there's like, I know a quite I don't want to say a name, I don't want to out anybody, but I know a quite popular name, and I know the owner, and he told me that he buys his seeds from Dutch breeders, but he also emphasized very heavily that that's what everybody does over there, right? And then they just white label the shit. And I've always not liked that, because I spent a lot of time like making my own seeds and pheno hunting and like doing it. I guess I'm doing it like the old fashioned way or something, like baking a cake, like, 1900 or something. But I like it, I don't know. This commercial thing is weird. And then we find out that it's not even legal over there. Cannabis isn't even legal over there.
It is an odd, yeah. It's an odd now that you mention it, because like there are a few of these big.
I'm not understanding this, yeah.
It is a little confusing, I have to be frank. And probably the answer is that a lot of it is sort of under the table, because he did mention there's a lot of criminal elements and stuff. So there's probably a lot of sort of shady stuff that doesn't get talked about. But it is weird, because we have heard about all these mega seed companies with these like field drops basically for agricultural level seeds, and the prices are dropping like a stone in many cases. So like you, I had been assuming that cannabis was a real thing over in Spain. Maybe in my head I was like, all right, it's probably mostly medical, if not maybe exclusively medical, but there's probably some way to get basically a nursery license, because how else are these like full on fields of freaking seeds getting bred? But yeah, it's I don't know how to explain it. You're right. um what bothers me more maybe is the corporations, because corporations never have a healthy motive, or virtually never have a healthy motive in the fields that they're in. And so if you have basically cannabis breeding operations, there honestly can be nothing good that will come of that, frankly.
And and
Not
then
even for mankind, really. Go ahead.
and then you also know, like as well as I do, like how many seeds a 4 foot plant can produce, right?
Right.
And these guys are doing probably
Fields.
120 foot long greenhouses or bigger, right? If they're doing it in green, I mean, they might be doing it in fields like you're saying, but they're huge greenhouses, and they're growing trees, like literally, like 7-10 foot tall, maybe bigger trees. So imagine what one of those produces. So the amount of seeds that they're flooding the market with is really astounding, right?
Mm.
And it's like that's what we have to compete with. Small breeders, we are competing with that, and
Yeah.
there's no human touch. Even that's such a large scale that like the human element is removed even from those
Yeah,
big
I
growths,
agree.
right? It's probably machine sorted. Just this is like an industrial. It's like the chicken farming of fucking cannabis. It's
Yeah.
disgusting. I don't
Yeah, actually, the people have been talking about lately about agricultural robots and stuff taking over some of well, a lot of the labor, basically, especially the really rote work on a lot of the farms, from seeding to irrigation to freaking fertigation to whatever. And you're right, like a lot of those big fields are probably just going to end up being like a robot that does it. It's going to be hundreds of thousands of plants that never even touched a human being. It's a really surreal thing. And then you talk about it, and it's not even legal in the first place. It puts a weird freaking flavor in your mouth, that's for sure. um I don't know, it's kind of a sad thing to think that the future of cannabis is probably basically fuckery, and it's really disconcerting to realize that that is almost certainly the truth. I mean, Jorge was right that there's going to be people, just hanging out in their backyard still making crosses. But I don't know how to explain this. Maybe this is egotism. Maybe this is me just basically not being able to accept reality or something. Maybe that's all many of us will ever be, is just kind of in the future backyard breeders doing whatever the fuck we do while some mega concern does their thing. I don't even know where I'm going with that. It's still I kind of don't want to think about that freaking vision, but it seems like this inevitable thing. I don't know. Oh, I don't
Yeah,
even.
I mean,
Am I being clear? I realize I'm being vague. I'm
well,
like,
it's
I don't even
just
want to think about that freaking future.
I mean, I've had this conversation with a couple of people, and they tell me that like Joel, he thinks that there'll still be like craft beer. There's still a lot of Budweiser sold, but there is still a market for craft beer, and it's possible. It's very well possible that it could turn out like that. But the licensing is going to be a fucking real key
Mm,
element to that, right? Is how what they do, because once the big corporate entities like an Anheuser Busch and those kind of guys lobby Congress, like what are they going to do to home grow, and what is our legal route forward going to be for producing seeds to people? Like
yeah.
can we still make them? Can we send them? Can we send them to other countries? What's going to be the going forward once corporate world takes over, because they take whatever they say is going to be law. you know
That's 100% true. They might basically make it a provision like, I don't know, you can grow your freaking weed or whatever, but you can't grow seed because seed is somehow,
and then
I don't know.
there's watching this thing yesterday on there's a bunch of scientists and stuff that were talking on FCP, one of the FCP channels, and they were talking about triploids and how you know you can't really breed into them, and if you
Mm,
try to breed into them, you get pretty terrible results. But can a triploid breed with a triploid? Isn't
I
that
don't
Wouldn't that
know.
work? I don't know. That's some more science. But anyway,
I don't know.
if they do some shit to modify, if they use CRISPR and they take out the ability to reproduce, and you can only reproduce them with like
Right.
some special chemical process or something, then that's going to really fuck us too. You know,
I mean, that's definitely what the agricultural concerns are going to want. They're going to want to have sterile seeds. That's what they have for a lot of agricultural crops, so that you have to go
yeah,
back and buy the seed every single year. That doesn't work for most of us home growers, I would assume. And so most of us would definitely never cooperate with that kind of system. That would be one mechanism where people like North Star and us maybe survive, where we actually produce seeds that the home grower can keep basically their whole life,
yeah,
and it doesn't actually just automatically die at the end of its
and
cycle or
make new
something.
ones. Yeah, they can keep making new ones. You know, of course,
Is
that gene
that
pool.
enough? I
Of
don't know.
course, that gene pool will eventually. If I mean, if this situation occurs like that, and we're the only ones providing that, the gene pool is going to get smaller over time and more, more inbred, because there's not new shit coming into the gene pool anymore, right? Over so,
And it's
so I
already
don't
a
know
small gene
how
pool, yeah.
yeah, I don't know how sustainable that would be. What are we talking, 25, 30 main root stock in the
Hmm.
gene pool? And then everything else is kind of a cross of these 25, 30 things worked over, 4 or 5 decades.
It'll be really interesting to see. I don't know. I don't know. Interesting is maybe not the right word. I don't know. Because obviously the corporate world would want 5 varietals, not even 30, not even 100. And now there's tens of thousands, probably. I'm smoking Acapulco Gold. This is somewhat unusual. They had gelato crosses. They had everything at the freaking dispensary. Gosh, the dispensaries probably can't stand that, having 15 different jars, or gosh, Treehouse's case, they probably had 50 different jars. Some dispensaries only have maybe 10 or 15, but a lot of these different places, they have a lot of stock to run. They would rather just run maybe a high end, maybe 2 high-end things, 2 middle-end things, and 2 low-end things, right? That would be so much simpler for their supply chain.
yeah.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, like, are they going to arrange weed into families? I mean, when you think about wine, there's only maybe a dozen varietals that anyone really talks about, right? There's the Pinots, the Cabernets and stuff, a couple of freaking green ones, whatever. That's about it, basically, or a couple of whites rather. And then that's about it. There's a bunch of other varietals in the world, but they're not super common. They've been kind of necked out of the market, basically. And I wonder if the same thing will happen to weed. We'll basically have a couple of OGs and a couple of freaking, I don't even know, some GMO Tangy cross or something. It'll all be cookies. It'll be like cheetah piss cookies or some shit. I don't even know. I'm being an asshole. It's disconcerting to see this future that Jorge kind of described.
I think we kind of have a glimpse right now, actually. The company that I've talked about a lot there in Portland. They don't do genomic testing anymore. They stopped that about 2 years ago. And now what they do is very, I don't like it, but they sell seed basically by the acre. Like minimum order is like 40,000 seeds, right? And they've taken all the data, aggregated all the data that everybody submitted to them, right, to see what their plants were. Because we wanted this genomic data. It's data, it's statistics. It tells us relationships, tells us all kinds of really cool shit, right? We wanted that data. What we didn't want is that our data to be mined and then used for them.
I was saying that from the beginning, and people were not. Yeah, people were not grokking it.
Yeah, so they took our data and they mined it, and then they aggregated it, and they figured out what we all want to smoke, what we all like, what terpenes work for us, what they do, what one's a party drug, which one is a fucking medicinal, and now they got seeds that are exactly what people want, and they're feminized only, and you can only buy them like 40,000 of them at a time. That's not for a market for you or me. You and I will never have our hands on the seeds, and even if we did, we're not going to want to breed into them. They probably have done something so they can't be bred into, right? They're probably sterile seeds, right? But I think the fucking people like that are the future, unfortunately, because I don't have the money to compete with that.
That's the thing, like we forget basically the troughs of money, the freaking just not even wheelbarrows, the aircraft carriers of money that come with IPOs and stuff, right? Like when you get access to the stock market, and we've barely seen any companies even touch the stock market. Mostly it's been these Canadian companies, right? And so in the future, like look at all the money that's being shoveled at OpenAI and all, billions of fucking dollars, right? Like we were all agog when we heard about the multi-million-dollar seed deal a while ago that was rumored. First of all, none of us actually know what the term terms are, but we assume that those were the terms. There's going to be multi-billion-dollar deals in the near future, basically, where people just get money shoveled at them in absurd ways. And in many cases, it's going to be people who absolutely don't deserve it. Like we
It's
already
crazy.
see in many cases, like cannabis thought leaders who, gosh, behind the scenes, you're just like, oh, that guy's fake as a $3 fucking bill. But that's unfortunately the way a lot of that kind of stuff works. A lot of people are going to get a lot of money shoved at them, and it's going to only exacerbate every single part of the terrible situation already. We already complained about the Chads and Brads and the Trustafarians, and we're for the most part talking about millionaires, right? That's kind of the irony.
Yeah.
We're complaining about millionaires, and the real fuckers are coming. You know, the billionaires and the soon to be trillionaires are coming.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Look what the Saudis did to the PGA. Basically, they essentially forced a merger by completely outspending them and getting, like, granted, I don't know the entire story, but apparently they outbid the ever-loving fuck out of the PGA and were offering multi-million-dollar salaries for average golfers at their live conference or whatever the fuck it was called. And so the PGA lost a bunch of great players, I guess. So now the
Wow.
PGA has merged with live, basically, because they can't compete with that money. So
Wow.
mm,
That could happen with the NBA.
Yep.
The NBA is like, it's more popular in like China than it is in America. And it's an American sport.
Yep, it totally could.
Yeah.
It's
The world's
concerning to hear
changing
this
very
stuff.
fast.
It sure
Changing
is.
very fast.
It's all the more annoying when you see all the freaking crab pot shit, basically, because we little people should know enough to not fight each other, because there's plenty of bigger fish coming. Basically, we should school together as opposed to fighting each other like a bunch of freaking hyenas. AI is coming to replace a lot of people in a lot of really unpredictable ways. There's really no way to see how AI is going to influence the future, and it's going to be used in good and bad ways. What is that rosin?
Camera. This is some Compound Z diamonds. It's apples and bananas crossed the white runts.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Is it in-house rosin from Compound?
no, it's not. It's not made by Compound. It's
Gotcha.
made by another company, but it's using their stuff.
Oh.
Compound Z is what it's called, though. I guess the Z is part of the white runs. So probably using the Z from the Skittles that's in the white runs, but it doesn't taste like apples and bananas. I'm going to sell you that. I mean,
And by the way, what does apples and bananas taste like anyway? It doesn't even taste like apples and bananas.
No, it tastes like a gelato. You know, it tastes like fruit. You know, I guess it is, but I don't get banana. Okay, banana is a very distinct herb. Maybe the apple's there, but the banana is not there. I've never.
Banana is one of my holy grails. I need to find a real banana.
Oh, you need banana OG?
I've heard the banana OG is not banana, though. Is banana OG a rich custardy banana? Because that's what I would like. Like a rich, sweet banana.
You want Joel's banana then? The one that he made. Yeah, Joel made a banana OG that's not related to banana OG. It's his own creation, and his is very banana.
I would like that. Maybe I wonder if Joel, you know what? Now I bet you basically everything that I ever grew from Subcool came from fucking Joel. He probably bred the Banana Jack, and I had an amazing fucking banana. It was, I guess it was probably from Joel. It was probably his banana OG crossed to Jack the Ripper. And it had this incredible, it was actually a very sedative. It was actually really quite heavy hitting. And everyone that I would smoke it with was like, oh shit, this is some indica shit, right? I was like,
oh, no, banana jack is fantastic.
Oh, it was, did you have it too? Fuck, it was
I had
wonderful.
The testers.
Did you?
So the one of my buddies, the desert home grower, the desert home grower, he was a Subcool tester. He's local to me. And he had that whole round of testers. I want to say Badger made that though, the Banana Jack, possibly, but yeah, he had that whole run, and the Nerds was in that, the Banana Jack, fuck, there's like 7 or 8 different things. I had a bunch of those though.
That's cool. Banana Jack was good. I think the Banana Jack was my first subcool tester, actually. And I was very nervous because it had a super low germination rate. It was like, I got 2 out of 10 seeds, literally. And I was like super sheepish to subcool. I was like, oh, sorry, blah, blah, blah. It's great plant and stuff, but I only got two seeds or whatever. And he was like, oh, I appreciate the honesty and blah, blah, blah. Apparently a lot of people bullshit. And that's one of the times that I learned, like actually testers kind of bullshit for a variety of reasons. Sometimes what they think are good reasons, right? Go ahead.
He did release that though, right?
I think he did, yeah. But there was a specific reason that something happened in the mail. I don't remember what it was right now, but he said, oh yeah, that was a problem we figured out. There was like something like 30% of the seeds were fucked up in some way. I don't remember what it was. Oh shit, I don't remember. Anyway, he told me, he was like, yeah, I appreciate the honesty. And oh, by the way, it was a common problem, something like that. I can't remember what he said. Anyway. Because yeah, actually, I was like, I couldn't figure out what to do. I had been a tester for a couple other breeders before, and I was like, oh shit, I kind of like subcool. I don't know what to say, and so I thought about it for like honestly like a couple of months. I was like, oh, I bet I'll just grow the flower first, and so I did. I basically harvested the flower, and I think I pretty much like I had almost smoked it basically by the time I think I was just about to smoke it. Basically, I was like, oh, I should probably tell subcool finally, and so I literally told him I think before I smoked the flower, and he's like, oh, it's actually a common problem. Oh man, I wish I could remember better. Anyway, time passes faster than you think. Cheers, Hillbilly Herb. Nice to see you, my friend. What should have been open sourced? He says the Galaxy. Honestly, that would be wonderful, frankly, if we had something like Seed Finder or something that was an open source cannabis Galaxy. The problem is you'd have to have someone that pays for it, and I don't know. It'd be cool. I don't know. I wonder if someone like freaking I don't know. That's an interesting idea. I don't know, Flora. I think that would be something that people would actually benefit from, like an open source cannabis Galaxy. It would probably take more resources than we have, but there are probably a few people who would be interested in that.
No, I think the open source Galaxy thing is like, it's kind of like that's what the intent was, right? And with all of these places, is this?
Well, their intent was not open source. People assumed it was open source, I think. And then, for example, they had the Open Cannabis Project that was here in Portland that was kind of part of it.
Started out.
They assumed that it was open source.
Transitioned. It wasn't called Phylos. It wasn't even called Phylos. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, though. The investors and stuff, they did not intend for it to be open source. Like, what's his phrase?
Well, the way it was sold to me,
couple years before was already talking to those investors.
Yeah, the way it was sold to me, like around 2013, 14 or something like that, was a totally different thing, right? That's why my feelings were totally different, right? What it became, that was not ever. We didn't even know what Phylos company was at first. Like that was 2-3 years into it after they collected samples from everybody, right? Because at first it was free. You could send them like 30 samples. And then they because they were trying to, that's why like you'll see a lot of the old, like when you look at like 2014 2015 on there, you'll see a ton, like people have 20-30 samples because it was free. And then once it became Phylos, they were like, oh, it's $500. That's a big difference from free. So $500, and you got to send them the stem, and little kit thing. But yeah, it's I don't know. I hope so. There was guys like that. Used to have a guy on the show here, Copyleft. He had a great idea.
I think he's still going.
But the problem is this: you have to, you can't gauge the intent of what these people are going to be in 5 years, and if they're going to change and take your shit, right? Because the open source model, like things like Tesla, right? That was supposed to be an open source.
Look at OpenAI. Look at OpenAI. OpenAI is a weird one because it still is essentially somehow kind of like Sam Altman, the guy that runs the CEO. He actually has no equity stake in it. At least publicly, he says that. Who knows if he's lying? That's always possible. But supposedly, he's not going to get fucking mega rich from any of the decisions. And most of the time, he would be, like Zuckerberg. Basically, he owns like 50% of Facebook, not at 50% anymore, but he used to own like 50% of freaking Facebook. Anyway, OpenAI started as basically like an open source nonprofit, blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's a nonprofit anymore, but what am I trying to go to? this Acapulco Gold is delightful. I really enjoy it. I really get my brain is confused in a delightful way. Probably can't make any sense, but it is awesome. Once again, I reiterate from yesterday, if anybody has a cut of Acapulco Gold, I would very much like a copy of that cut, ladies and gentlemen. This Acapulco Gold is delightful. I'm enjoying it immensely. Small Tubes is saying when money comes into play, it changes people. I think that's eventually what I was trying to get to. That in many cases, basically, some of these people started off with, I don't know, earnest, honest goals and whatever, and then all of a sudden they can afford a Ferrari, and any number of extremely attractive women start to throw themselves at them, and they start to look basically at the world a very, very different way. And we've seen that any number of different times when people even started as a decent person. Fucking Google used to be a lot different company, honestly.
Yeah.
By the way, folks, hop on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess
like
because
this,
we don't have a guest, people are
Sorry,
taking
I'm
it
trying to
easy.
take a pause here and light this because like I stopped like 4 times to say something.
Hug amongst
Where's
yourselves. Yeah,
Yeah, no
exactly.
D?
He's probably busy.
No D, no
Yeah, nobody's here.
Smash.
I guess they're taking it off. That we wore them out last night. That's what it is. We actually kept them all up. We kept them all up super late. We kept D up super late. We kept Smash up super late. But hop on, folks. We've got, I don't know, another roughly half hour left, something like that. So hop on, folks, for the high noon safety meeting. This is kind of the chill episode. I didn't want to have a guest because I was like, oh, we might be super tired. I am kind of tired and stuff. So it would have been, I don't know, it would have been a disappointing interview for the guest. It would have just been like, well, I would have asked a bunch of stupid questions. And yeah, so next week, hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get another guest. Join us. I don't have a guest yet, so I don't know if you guys have any recommendations, please let me know. But join us next week. I'm sure we'll have a fun guest. I'm going to try to get the Tuesday shows back to having guests too, or maybe like I've said before, maybe having a debate or something that might be fun, but also debate coordination is kind of challenging. So I don't know, that might be even more work than a guest. We'll figure it out, ladies and germs. Once again, if you guys have any ideas, please do let me know. Yeah. Flora's taking a dab there. Do check out last night's episode, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are not familiar with my bigger channel, if by some weird miracle you are only subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to my main channel, Fumito and the Flavors. Last night we got to talk to the one and only Jorge Cervantes. He of the I even have, well, I got some shit on the book right now, but I have the Cannabis Encyclopedia literally right next to me. Well picked through and read through. I basically read that thing cover to cover a few times when I started growing, from IPM to germination techniques to soil mixing to what else? God, I don't even know. Watering schedules. Yeah, the IPM was a big one. Every time I had, because when I started, I had bud route my first crop, then I had freaking I can't remember, thrips and whatever else, like a new grower, right? You don't know what the fuck you're doing, you don't know how to quarantine or anything else. You're like, why are all these spider mites on my plants? Oh, it's because I just came from the grocery store. Well, basically you go back to the freaking Jorge book. Oh, right, he was talking about build a quarantine zone, and take notes. Freaking copy Jorge, basically. I wonder how many freaking million growers have copied Jorge's growing advice over the years. Is that a trip?
I wonder what what his interaction was with the other guys, like Robert Clark and Rosenthal back then, and if they saw each other as competing with each other, like
Good
as
question,
competitors,
yeah.
or did they kind of help each other out,
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
We should ask him next time. Maybe he's on. It's an interesting thought. I mean, some of those guys might not have ever interacted with each other for a while, right? Until the 2000s. It's interesting to think. I mean, Rosenthal was in California, I guess, and Jorge was up here in Oregon. So they wouldn't have met in person, and until there were High Times cups and stuff, there wasn't a cannabis meeting place. Why would you meet in a criminal? What is it? The place to get arrested? Or
I want to say they had the same publisher, Candy Press, maybe
they knew each other. Huh?
Yeah, I think it was Candy Press. I'm not sure 100% on that. I could be totally wrong.
It'd be
It's been a
nice to
long
think that they,
it's been a long time since I looked at those books, but I do have some of those books. Over the years, I've had them and then given them away too.
and a
But
lot of
yeah,
those folks, I remember Sub talking about some of these folks. I should have asked Jorge about Sub. I think Sub mentioned Jorge a couple times. And, Sub used to live up here in Oregon, right? So they might have actually interacted with each other. We should ask him maybe next time if he comes on. It'd be interesting to know about all those different cannabis legends, because it's funny to think, there's already people that I kind of don't really like all that much, and so I don't necessarily avoid them or anything, but I don't seek them out. There's also people that I do like, so it's just interesting to know that there's probably those dynamics even back then when it was still illegal and underground. There's probably people you didn't want to see or people you did want to see. I know Sub and Ed Rosenthal were good buddies, so at least for what it's worth.
yeah. Did Subcool? How did Subcool publish this book? I have to look at that. I have that packed away too. I didn't even look at the publisher on that either. I wonder if he.
Please hold.
Do you have that one?
Well, you know what? I have the version 2, so actually it might be a different publisher.
Oh, you have the Dink. I have the first one. I don't have the second one.
Oh my fucking god! Pardon me while I break everything.
Actually, I know where it's at. I will be right back. Also.
Talk amongst yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Problem is, I had a book on top of the book. By the way, a testament to American glass. I did not break this bong, even though it fell over. Nice solid shit, honestly. Shout out to Mary Jane's House of Glass here for always selling good shit.
Mine's buried. I found the J Kitchen book because it's on top, but no, I remember mine's buried.
A Tank 2.0.
There you
go. Published by Quick American. Okay.
Oh, that's different. Yeah, that's different.
Printed in China. What? I think this is signed. Yep. Woohoo.
Oh, nice. Who signed it? So Subcool and who else?
To Fumidor, to Tony. He crossed it out. I think he told me he had one copy left, and he was like, "I'm sorry." I think it literally. He told me, like, "I'm sorry, it was to Tony. I crossed it out." Forget about that. To Tony, I mean Fumidor. I won this, I think, at one of the photo contests or whatever. He's like, "Shit, I don't have another one. I'm sorry."
Yeah, I remember. He used to sell the books and the T-shirts and the seeds at the booth, and the seeds I remember at first the seeds were kind of like they weren't like first year they weren't visible. Like you go talk to them and then you're like, "Oh, you looking for some seeds, brother?" That's crazy. Because like you'd have all the book, he'd have like 5 of the books out, and you would have the shirts.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And the best shirt was the orange Sons of Dank shirt. That's my favorite shirt. All the sub TGA stuff. But none of that stuff lasts forever. So yeah. I wish
like a dumbass. I have a TGA the day. I can't remember. Anyway, it's a white shirt basically, and like a fucking fucktard. I wore it on a hot day and like stained it up. So it's basically just like a fucked up shirt, basically. Yeah. I can't really wear it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I could take it to a cleaners and have it laundered or something. But god damn it. Back then, I didn't think it was going to be some big rare thing. I was like, "Oh, Subcool's going to be around forever, man." Yeah, like literally, probably 6 months later, he was dead.
No, I thought he would be around for a while. I thought he was going to be like the next Ed Rosenthal. Yeah. I didn't really think so. Otherwise, if I would have known he was going to, I don't know. It's a hard one, and that Arizona, watching that Arizona segment of his life was very difficult for me.
Challenging as fuck, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you want to help somebody, you want to reach out. I don't have the resources to help him, but like you want him to help himself. Like you really want, like you want that situation. And then I was involved with, you know, my career kind of. I was involved with him at that point, right? Because he had investments with some individuals, and they started a recreational farm down here, and I was working at that, and so and at the same time, like he was sliding downhill, and it was just, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I don't want to talk about, but it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I wish that things would have went different.
Flora behind the scenes knows a little bit. Excuse me, a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit challenging situation for sure. Fuck, I got a cough. Hold on. Okay. You get
Anyways,
nerve. It hurts.
On a
so
more
bad
positive note,
exactly. It's difficult to talk about Subcool without getting freaking sad a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. He had amazing weed.
Talk about this Compound Z. I'm about to smoke. I'll let you know how it. This is the diamond version of it. The last version I had was a rosin version. The diamonds are made through a hydrocarbon process.
Sweet.
So you get different, a little bit different. It's different, in the rosin you get more of a full plant, full spectrum kind of thing. This, I think it's isolated down to THCA and the terpenes, which not a bad thing, but
I'm glad that people have started to actually say that. People used to say that rosin was like a lesser expression or something. I can't remember. I even knew a bunch of like BHO nerds, basically, people who knew what they're doing, not just street blowers or something, but like they would basically say that there's no way you can get the same expressions, the same aromas and stuff from rosin. And I was like, but I've had better rosin. Like you really can. The problem with rosin is that when it comes straight out, basically, it's not quite as aromatic as the BHO. It's not off-gassing the same way that BHO does. But once you give it like a nice cold cure or something, and that was, I guess, kind of new technology people weren't doing. I guess there was warm cures, cold cures, whatever the fuck. Pocket cure too, or whatever. Anyway, but you had to cure the cannabis a little bit, or cure the rosin, and then that amazing aroma and expression basically pops out. I'm glad that people have started to sort of see that. I don't know. It's frustrating to hear everybody like say, "No, rosin sucks, bro."
Yeah, cold cure was kind of a controversial thing too at first too. Like people would consider cold cure like you're fucked up shit, right? And you cold cure and it would like it'd become better, like smokable. I don't know. People didn't consider it like the top grade at one time.
I think people just didn't know what it was, basically. I'm not even 100% sure what it was, but I think it's basically some kind of a chemical metamorphosis that is a little bit like Frenchie's pressed hash, where it sort of creates somewhat new compounds that didn't exist in the previous hash, because somehow you can take a really somewhat unremarkable smelling rosin and it'll taste fine, and even tasting it'll taste good. I mean, it's good rosin, don't get me wrong. Especially with hash, you can never distill gold from garbage. You always only can distill quality from quality. So basically you can only ever get the best quality rosin from the best quality flour. You can only get the best quality rosin derivatives from the best quality rosin, on and on and on. That's why it's so expensive, because you end up basically cutting out impurities. You can never make it better. You can only ever cut out impurities, basically. But what am I trying to say? That somehow the rosin was not volatilized, basically, until it was cured. Oh, I already said that. Sorry. Yeah, this fucking Acapulco Gold. I'm digging it. Really enjoying it. If I have not made that clear before, really enjoying it. Probably doesn't make any sense for the audience, the way I talk.
You know what I would like them, you know what I would like to see? I would like to see a new type of facility that home growers could go to. It's just all they do is it's just a lab for home growers, right?
Oh, that's cool.
We can take our product there and they'd be like, oh, you want light, and you can pay them. and they can make live resin, rosin, press, take the heads off, all these different, have all the different types of hash, right? Based on what you bring them, right? So
that'd
so
be
that way
sick.
us home growers would be able to have like for me, right? Like I can't make diamonds and the shit that I smoke. I can't make this. It's illegal. You gotta have a fucking
No, that
C1
would be
D2
sick.
lab.
That'd be that would be such a mature and reasonable thing to do. And why do I want to say that probably countries like Germany will probably have that shit before we do? Because I bet you anything, as soon as they legalize, they'll probably have a one-stop shop lab, like freaking Bud was talking about, where you can literally walk in there and say, so I grew a blue dream. I'm curious. I would like half of this blue dream to be turned into rosin and half of it turned into BHO diamonds.
That's what I
And
want.
they'd be like, sure, here you go. That'll be such and such freaking euros, and they'll charge them, and you'll basically get it at the end. It'll be perfect. Perfect. That'd be fucking amazing. Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
awesome? Because some people, like you say, or well, I guess you haven't said it, but I've assumed it, some people like different stuff. So some people will want the flour, some people will want half flour, half concentrate. Some people need some RSO, and they don't have the setup for it. I mean, learning all that stuff is a lot of work. Anyone who's ever done any of this stuff, it's a lot of work. And to do any of it well, we don't talk about that nearly enough. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I made hash the other day. How good was the hash though? Like for real though, how good was the hash?
Yeah.
Most of it is always trash, like because hash is really hard to make, actually really hard to make. So if you want really good hash and you grew really good flour, fuck off. You could take it to that lab and they could do it for you. It would cost you something. It used to be during the medical days, people did that all the time. The guy would just charge you a half cut basically.
Yeah. And then there's people that'll say, well, you could do it yourself. I'm like, no, you could do it yourself. But the thing
You just have
is
to learn.
the guys that are there are masters. That's all they do.
Also, though, right? BHO and stuff is, first of all, it's illegal, but second of all, it's super dangerous. Yeah. Even if it weren't illegal, which it is super fucking illegal because it's super dangerous, by the way. It's super fucking dangerous. Yeah.
That's why you have to have a C1 D2 lab, compliant lab, make it. So you have explosion proof building. So it has to be made there.
One of the guys that used to be on this show, and he's not on the show for good reasons now at this point. But anyway, long story short, one of his business partners blew up their fucking lab. And this was a guy that was apparently professional. So accidents happen and they blow up fucking laboratories, even when they know what they're doing.
Yeah. So it'd be nice if they have, because we have home grow. Why it doesn't make sense that we can't take it to a processor and have it processed.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Right. And I think that would be a popular business. I think it would be an incredibly popular business, especially like, so you put that thing in LA. Look how many people in LA home grow, right?
And look at LA. Some people would want rosin, but a lot of people would be like, dude, I just want some diamonds. I want to be able to just walk around and get fucking blitzed all day. Some people would want jam or sauce or whatever the fuck, right? Some guy's going to walk in with some big old freaking bush of OG and be like, just turn it into RSO. That's all I need.
And then that would also create jobs for all those different artists there. Because the guy that makes the jam might not be the guy that makes the diamonds, right? And the guy that makes the rosin might be, there might be a guy that packs, all he does is pack socks, right? For hydrocarbon. There might be a guy, a guy that just folds.
That's a great idea. You can have like a co-op, kind of like a glass studio. It'd be like a co-op hash concentrate studio. And you could have one person or a couple people in a kitchen for edibles. So you could bring your cannabis in, basically. You could have them turn it into edibles. You could have them turn it into
gummies, all kinds of
100% bake good. Because don't forget, actually learning how to do real edibles that taste good is actually really challenging. Anyone who's done that has really struggled at making them good. So the people who do it well, oh my God, they are actually professionals at it. And then, like I say, all the different textures. We were just talking about, you had some sort of peanut butter texture. We were trying to remember what the freaking word for that is. Well, everybody prefers different textures. It's kind of funny. I've had friends who are like, oh, I really love the sugar jam or whatever the fuck, where it's like jammy, but it's got the little tiny sugar diamonds, basically. Some people, that's their thing. That's their jam, I guess, ironically.
Honey crystals.
Yeah.
That still has honey crystals here in
honey crystals.
California. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Like a thick honey, but then there's little diamonds in there, little speckles of diamonds. Yeah.
Not only that, you could take your weed in for trimming. So if you didn't want to trim or whatever else, you could have that done. That's a super idea. But again, it probably won't happen less.
The trimming thing used to exist in the 215 days.
Right.
There used to be places I could bring my stuff to. They charge you like 125 a pound to trim it. And they do a good job. Right. And there was even places that would come on site and trim your shit too.
Huh.
But That all went away when recreational came in about.
Yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, so there's all these just absolute like missing services that everybody knows could be filled, but just for no good reason, there's nothing there.
But there
Like you
hasn't-
say, all the shit, like all the families that grow a few plants in California, fuck, and those plants get to be like freaking 10 feet, 15 feet tall without even giving a shit. So they have 5 pounds of weed or whatever. They don't know how to trim 5 pounds of weed.
And then also they could cure it for you
Understand.
too, right? Like there's these
Yeah.
facilities that have these machines now that can do the freeze drying, they can do the
Mhm.
24-hour cure thing. They can, yeah, they could do long-term cures for you. That would be really cool. Like, there's all these different services, niche services that could be offered. Like, but I don't even know how you'd license it. It's the thing.
Yeah. That's one of the
Right.
biggest annoying factors about the whole weed scene is that you have to get all kinds of different licenses for every single possible thing that you could possibly imagine. And so like to have the business we're talking about, you probably have to stack like 5, 6 fucking licenses.
It'll be taxed in all these different ways too.
Yeah, right.
Different, like cannabis.
What?
is taxed.
275% tax? How the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
I guess it's just us today, Flora. Apparently it was just we can call it Flora's impromptu. Well, it wasn't really an interview, but we can say,
No, it wasn't really an interview. We're just bullshit.
Flora stops by to know. Flora flies by. Back when you had to grow in a dresser, Al Telescope is saying. So why does that remind me of? Oh, we were talking about tents yesterday, I think. Reminded me of tents. We should ask Jorge more about all the different technologies and shit that he's seen. I remember a couple of years ago, I guess I've heard less people talk about it lately, probably because there haven't been any cannabis shows, but everyone was talking about plasma lighting this and plasma lighting that and freaking variable spectrum. But it was, yeah, it was such fucking
so the plasma
vaporware,
light,
right?
No, it wasn't vaporware. It was real. I sold plasma lights at the shop.
Did you?
Yeah. Gavita had a plasma light as well. A couple other companies did. They're really good. They had a real good 90-degree down angle. So if you wanted to, like the focal point was like directly straight down, right? So it didn't have a very wide, wasn't very wide. And it created a lot of heat. And so basically you have this very expensive light, uses a lot of power, creates a lot of heat, but it doesn't have very much coverage. So they didn't.
But the 3 grams that are directly under it are amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. So yeah, they worked very well. They had a very nice. The light was beautiful. Everything is great except for a very narrow focal point. And who knows? Maybe with some new technology, they could revisit that one day. But right now, right at that time, the 315s were starting to get a lot of popularity. Then they came out with the 630.
What if we're hearing about the aliens here? Like the aliens showed up just because like we legalized weed, and they're like, "Fuck, we need some of those awesome seeds," because maybe they grow weed on their planet. I'm just trying to figure out why the aliens came here. We were talking about yesterday. Like there's like I don't know some story about alien technology or whatever else. I don't know. That was not a fleshed out joke.
No, we are aliens.
We could be, honestly.
No, we are the aliens. We're on this big flying rock. But yeah, no, plasma was good. And then the CMH came out, and right after the CMH like was gaining popularity, they came out with a 630 watt dual arc CMH, where it was and they're pretty rare. Like Growers Choice has
I've
one.
heard of those, but I've never seen one. Yeah.
Yeah, Growers. Well, they had some explode. They were burst. There's a few of them that burst. And so they went off the market, I believe, or they might still be on the market. But there were some people very famous people in LA where those things had bursted, and it got on a video that went viral. And
that's a
pain. Yeah, and then the LED technology eventually got good enough. You know, once the Cobs came out, like that was like the very beginning when LED was actually viable. Pre-Cob, like. The LEDs work, but not very well, right? Like you just didn't get great yield. They had to be really close. The spectrum was blurple back then. Once Cree came out with this 3070 and then later the 3590, the white cobs, like 4,000 Kelvin, 3,500 Kelvin, like those. That's when LED like woke a lot of people up that it was something to maybe check out. And a lot of people didn't believe in LED because of that. Just prior, right? You had all these blurples, you had these UFO lights. That's what they were called, UFOs, not to do with anything to do with aliens. And they were shit. Just to be faces, they were just shit, waste of fucking money. And so people kind of got it's like a burnt once, like a twice shy kind of thing. Like they didn't want to fucking you.
I remember people talking such shit about LEDs, yeah. And even the first few years that I grew with LEDs, I was like, but I'm growing it like right over there. Like I have good weed, and I'd even show it. I guess before YouTube, but I would show my friends and stuff. They're like, "Oh, fuck off! LEDs are garbage." But I was just like, "How? What are you talking about?"
Yeah,
but like you said, weed. I think people had gotten burned by garbage LEDs, and they were super shit. Yeah.
Yeah, first generation. The first generation were the SMD diodes. A lot of them were like 5 volt, and then they came out the 3 volt ones. Yeah. They were just inefficient. The spectrum was, not necessarily.
Oh, and it was such a freaking dead giveaway that you've got one of those lights in your room because the whole room is pink.
Yeah, pink. Yeah, it looked like a fucking. It's either your T-Mobile or you're growing weed.
No, for real. That's how I had this lovely cut of cookies and cream, and I called it cluster fuckies and cream because it turned out it had russet mites and everything. But I had it in quarantine up there, and I didn't at the time. I didn't really know what russet mites were, so I didn't know to look at something under magnifications of the plant, like healthy and stuff. And so that's why I brought it in my garden. But I remember I had it in quarantine, and the guy that he basically wanted me to take care of his plant, whatever, for a few weeks while he was gone. For a few days, but it turned into a few weeks. And he gave me his light. He was like, "Oh, I got this great light, man. It'll grow great. It's an awesome light. I spent a lot of money on it a few years ago." And it literally was one of those blurple pieces of trash, basically. But he'd spent like hundreds of fucking dollars on this goddamn light. But it was a China special or whatever. It even said, made in China, whatever. It was not a high quality light, but still. Regardless, plants would grow under it, but the most annoying thing is that even though I had the quarantine box just like basically all kind of covered up, I didn't have it sealed or anything because I wanted airflow, but I had it all covered up. Still, the pink light like leaked out, and you could see the fucking pink light from outside. And every time I would walk by outside, I could see this fucking pink light. I was like, there's just no way to hide that.
No good.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? I did have like first generation cobs that were they were 42 by 3, so there were 42 diodes on a little circuit board, and at 3 volts. And those cobs, those first generation, they were Ridgelux, and those I grew incredibly short, dense plants, but they had a lot of good weight, right? But they were just like dense. And then plants that I'd grow stuff like tangy and stuff where like that, and it would like the morphology would change. Like they would be more like OG looking nugs and shit, but big and hard and dense. And stuff that used to foxtail wasn't foxtailing anymore. It would be like more round, like cone shape. And I don't know. I really enjoyed those lights for a long time. They were working. If I had them, if I still had those, I'd probably stick one in there just with my other lights, just to see what the hell happens.
I still have but granted I use it for veg, but I have a Pacific Light Concepts something PLC. Or other 420 PLC 420, and I don't even think it was the CXB 3590s. I think it was the Cobbs right before them. I don't remember which Cobb that was,
probably
maybe
CXA 37s. Yeah, those were good too. PLC was always quality. I don't think they might have got bought. I don't know, but they were always quality. Did they get bought or no? He just left, right?
I think he just gave up and well, I don't know if he gave up, but I think he works for Black Dog now.
Oh, does he? The green.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe he did get bought out, but I think he used to work for them and then basically went back to working for them. I guess they
I see.
have huge contracts and stuff.
I
Yeah, his
used to
lights
like
were always
love his
excellent.
channel.
Honestly, yep. He still does
I
his
used to
channel every
love.
once in a while. He only shows up sporadically, but he still does it
Yeah.
from time to
Yeah,
time.
I still subscribe. I still watch it, but I like the setup. It's
I
real
wish he
clean.
would have some successful grows. He doesn't have a lot of time for his grow, it seems like, and so, and I mean, anyone that grows knows that you unfortunately have to spend a lot of time with those fucking grows. So grow after grow after grow, he has problems. It would be nice to see him do a couple of like successful grows because he's a pretty good fucking grower, honestly. It's life, he doesn't have time probably. It is what it is.
Those damn fucking things because of him, and then they turned out to be shit. They're like these like bowl type things, auto feeder,
Oh, he's been messing with that shit for
auto
ages. Yeah.
I forget what it was called. Anyway, I went back to Floraflex because like that shit was not.
Uh,
I forgot what it's called now. They were like little plastic half bowls, and then they had like a little tube in there, and the bowl was supposed to like create this like moisture barrier.
oh my.
I don't know. Didn't work as good. Hydro. I don't know. But yeah, I've tried to copy him over the years a few times. I'm like, this looks like a good idea. I think we all
He'd be
do
an
that.
awesome shit. He'd be an awesome guest. I wonder if we could get him on.
Yeah, he would be an awesome guest. You should get him on here.
Honestly, his lights stealthily.
Mouse would be a good guest too if you get Mouse
Oh,
on.
Grow Mouse would be great. I wonder what Grow Mouse does. Grow Mouse, as far as I remember, started working for HLG, which was somewhat ironic. We could try to get Grow
Still
Mouse
be good.
on.
Still be a
Yeah.
good guest though.
Yeah,
You know,
excellent guest.
guys,
Always
him and Gene, they talk shop, and it was like the equivalent of Kevin Jodry, but in lights.
Yeah.
Instead of cannabis, it's lights, and I loved listening to those two talk. Yeah, they were.
No, before I don't know because who am I? I'm just some guy watching literally from the sidelines here as a grower. Perhaps all the other Dutch growers that grow orchids were more influential, but at least as far as looking at the available cannabis lighting scene, I want to say that Green Jeans and Grow Mouse were incredibly influential because, like you say, before them, they didn't really, no one really, or very few people, as far as I know, put like 6, cobs basically on a fixture and tried to literally like blow out a 4x4 space. There wasn't any of that kind of connection. Like the people that did the LED stuff didn't actually grow and on and on. Well, maybe on a small scale, some of the DIY guys did, but there was never any public discussion in that. You know what I mean? And then also, I want to say that one really influential things with Green Jeans is that up until PLC, the lights cost $2,000, $3,000 for like a 4x4 space, and all of a sudden he comes out with a light that you can blow out a 4x4 for well under $1,000, like $800, $700. It was unheard of. Yeah,
and he give you the frame, the extrusions, everything. Yeah, everything. It was good quality too.
And it was made in the US and everything else. Yeah, it was solid. I mean, they last for years. I've had them for fucking 6 years now or something, so.
And then solid. Those later on when Grow Mouse became part of, when he was working for Chilled, he made those pucks. Those pucks are still good. If you have those pucks are still really good to this day.
Yep, absolutely. It's interesting. I wonder how influential they were on the grand scheme of things. Is that just our grower perspective or something? I don't know. I remember we were. Who was making fun of us? Pardon?
Is this thing telling you set up professional audio and audio? It's like giving me weird spam across the top of the Zoom. Mm-mm. Set up professional audio and audio settings. You can now play music. And what? Why is it telling me that? I'm not even the fucking host.
It wants you to know.
Weird
Zoom
ass.
Like things that Flora needs to know right now.
No, they want me to. They probably want.
No, we can do professional audio, Flora. Zoom is like, just in case.
Sorry. How much is Zoom?
Oh, they keep raising the price. Fuck, I don't remember the last. They just billed me a couple of days ago. Maybe $15 now. I don't remember exactly.
I was paying $25 a month for StreamYard. I just canceled it.
Oh, well, for what it's worth, maybe. Fuck, maybe I
So-
do pay more for Zoom.
They do have a new option though for $10 a month, where it puts their stupid logo on it. But you have all the other options, so I'm gonna probably do that for a little bit until I can make some more money.
StreamYard, and then Smash was saying I need to learn how to
Yeah,
Streamlabs.
Streamlabs is pretty good. I have that too, and I've been playing with it a lot. But you have to build your like transitions and your audio and your input. It's a little bit different. And then when the guest joined it, I tried it a couple of times. I don't know if you saw it. There was some glitchy, like for the guest.
I also like to finally get to HD. I'm sick of always doing 720p. Like I could do my Canon camera and do like freaking full HD if I wanted to, or 4K or anything if we wanted to. God damn it, so annoying.
Yeah, you could probably do it through OBS for free. It's just the guest thing. The guest thing we have to use. I'm trying to play with that right now. There's this thing called Video Ninja that allows you to add guests into OBS. Basically, they go to a cloud website and they all join a group, and then you add that group as like a camera in OBS. It's been a little glitchy though, but if I can get that working, get the codecs working and shit, that'll be pretty cool. It works. There's a Mac version, so you could totally do it as well. And then the cool thing with OBS is you can set multi targets. So say we wanted to target 2 YouTube channels at one time, a Twitch and a Facebook feed all through one shot. You can do that, which would be kind of cool, simulcast kind of thing.
I've thought about that too. Yeah, like the YouTube stuff, just it is what it is. Like it's really kind of nutty, honestly, how some channels grow and some channels just fucking don't. But I was like, all right, basically, if that's the case, then we have to start broadcasting on other channels. But of course, we don't have an audience on other channels. So how do you start to build that? Well, it would be nice to simulcast so that we're not just like wasting our time talking to one person over on Twitch or whatever. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
And I still haven't dove into Twitch. I've only checked it out one time to watch Ninja a couple of times. That dude's got the when it comes to like social, like that dude's got the graphics down. He's got all these like cool.
Oh yeah, he's got the touch for that for sure.
He's fucking master at that shit.
Yeah. He's been doing it for a while though. I think he's built it little by little for what it's worth. Evidently, at least Charlie's Farm has said this. He's apparently a little bit shy in terms of social media and stuff. So it's actually quite impressive that he's really built that kind of fiefdom where he's like the king of the castle. Pardon?
He wasn't shy in person. He was a real nice guy. I met him.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's a real nice guy. He jumped up. I was like, because I went over to the booth, the Ocean Grown booth. This is like years ago, and I was at a cup, and I was like, the Ninja Fruit was like brand new, and it was hitting right. Like people were fucking. It was popular here in SoCal, and I walked over there. I was like, hey, is that Ninja dude here? I want to talk to him about that Ninja Fruit. And he was like on the ground and like he just like bounced up. He's like, yeah, I'm Ninja. Yeah, we talked for a while there. It was cool. Funny. Yeah,
he's a cool guy.
But no, they all those guys were cool. Dago, all of them, they were all cool. I don't know what they're all doing in the world today, but
I remember Vader being very aloof in a very strange way, and I remember wondering about it. They all think very highly of him, so he must be an awesome guy. But it was very challenging. I remember said hello and stuff. Just
shook his hand. All I did was shake his hand and say hello, and he kind of he went over there.
It's very aloof, very very aloof. But like you say, all the other guys, PH Nerd was super freaking cool. Like honestly, really cool. Shrimp is a genuinely nice guy, genuinely cool and interesting guy. Like you said, Dago actually, like people talked mad amounts of shit about him, and I met him in person. Nice. Lovely, nice person. Yeah, really nice person. Guy. Honestly, I don't know why you would say all kinds of terrible things about the guy. Did an awesome show and everything else, and was honestly a really nice guy. Who else did I fucking meet? And yeah, Ninja, nice guy. They're all pretty cool, chill guys. Yeah. It always annoys me that frankly that there are these like asshole people in cannabis, because I don't know, why would you be a douchebag? Like what, you don't smoke enough weed or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I remember I ran across I ran across this guy. I was walking like I was going to every, like, you and I, we both make seeds and everything, but I'm also like a collector. Like I'm like a seed junkie, like a true seed junkie. Like I spend money I shouldn't buy to buy packs of seeds that I probably will never grow and shouldn't be. I should spend my money on other shit, but I buy these fucking packs because I'm like, oh, it's gonna be rare. I might want to grow that someday, or like I have a bunch of reasoning, right? Like I might want to do something with that. So I was going around to all these different booths that day. It's like 2017 High Times Cup and San Bernardino River. I saw that there was one of the other breeders I saw that I'd gone to earlier in the day. I saw that his cross was the male of listed on another booth on their menu. They had a whole bunch of crosses to this one male. And then later when I went back to that booth, I was like, hey man, that's cool. The other guy's got you your strain is his male. Did you guys do like a collab or anything? And dude jumped over the booth. He's like, where, who's got my shit? Who? Take me over there. Like take me over there right now. Like he was ready to like fight. And I was like, what? And I told him who it was. Yeah, he ran over there. He's like, yeah, he started barking at him and shit. I was like, holy shit, I'm sorry.
Apparently that was not a collaboration.
I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel about that? I would I don't know. I guess there's different ways to feel about it. If you send it out as a tester or something, that's one thing. But if the person got a pack of seeds from you, I mean, that's the whole point. Like I am always baffled at people that are like pissed off when you like run their genetics. I'm like, isn't that the point, honestly, of those things? Did you assume that genetic would be celibate in some way? It's just like, what a weird fucking, I don't know. I was going to ask you if it was a different breeder. Who was I going to say it was? I don't know if you know this guy.
No,
I think I misspelled it.
It was La Plata Labs, and he jumped over the fucking booth. I gotcha. Like, over there. He's like, hey, and dude's cool, but he didn't want nobody using his shit.
That's interesting.
Somebody had the fucking what was this strain called? Durango OG as their male, and he didn't like that.
But so they had, we're assuming right now, we don't know the backstory necessarily, but we're assuming that it was a male that person got in a pack of seeds from that guy. So it was like absolutely. A Durango OG seeds. So it wasn't exactly. A female that he got from the guy as a clone. It was literally a male that he picked out. So that's, in my opinion, that's a very nice compliment, actually. Like if someone said, oh yeah, I'm using a Morgana male of yours or a Lime River Rose male of yours to cross to fucking runts or some shit, I would be honored. I would think that'd be great.
Yeah, but the same thing, kind of totally different breeders, but same kind of situation, right? You have with Fletcher at Archive, right? Like when the in-house genetics made Slurricane, that like caused like a volcano, like explosion with Fletcher. Like he was not happy with and
that was from crossing with his Do-si-do female, right?
That was a Do-si-do female, right? So a Purple Punch male, I believe. Is that right?
Before we go any further, I mean, it would be
because later
Fletcher on here, but I have heard that he is a bit,
but later on,
particular about how people cross with his genetics.
Yeah, but his response was just to make his own Slurricane and sell it for $60 when they were selling theirs for like double. That was his response. He's like, oh, well, I got the breeder cut of Do-si-do. It's better than yours. And he made his own Slurricane. So there's a Slurricane from Archive and there's a Slurricane from in-house.
I mean, is that?
I don't know.
I'm trying to say.
I don't even know what that. I don't even know if that's bad.
It's petty, but it's like kind of the best kind of petty. It's like,
Yeah, it's
You think
laughable.
you can do that strain? I'm gonna fucking do that strain better. It's kind of
It's
like
like,
almost the
yeah, but
best version of cannabis.
that's like me getting
I
I
can
don't
see
know,
both
one of your
sides of
fucking,
that.
it's like me getting one of your fucking strains, right? And then
I mean,
I
there's
don't know.
such a good and bad way to do that too, though. Like literally, if you basically were like, well, I bet you I could breed a slightly different version of the same strain and compare it to Fumi's. That would be a cool nerdy thing. We'd be like, let's breed almost exactly the same thing, and it would come out differently. Like we were
It
talking
would.
about grape pie, we were talking about purple punch, a bunch of these different things. If we were to cross them, literally, probably even the same cut of the same female and the same male, if we just did it into two different environments, I bet you the seeds would come out slightly differently. Cheers, by the way, Jeff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
hey.
is a female do-si-do. Maybe that's what pissed him off, because maybe he gave out the cut of the do-si-do female, because I guess he gives out, cuts of what, rainbow belts and all this different stuff to people. Maybe he didn't want people crossing with it. But at the same time, if you're giving out the cut to a breeder, did you expect that they were not going to do that? I don't know. It's kind of bizarre to me. It's like literally, it's like expecting people to be celibate. Like, did they expect these genetics to be celibate? It's kind of bizarre when you think about it. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I think especially if you sell to somebody, they can do with it whatever they want. It was in-house that I remember was the first, and that kind of made it popular.
They made
Slurricane.
it. They're the ones that bred it.
Yeah, they were the first.
But they
yeah.
used, but
and
they
made it
used,
popular
but
though too.
they did it because they created it, but they used the parent that they used for the mother was archived strain, and he got mad about that.
Oh, yeah, he
You
should.
could ask him why he gets mad. I mean, maybe he has a good reason for it. At the same time, maybe he just doesn't want people using his stuff. That is a strange perspective for me. I don't agree with that, honestly, because it seems to me the whole point of it would be like a teacher hoping their students are stupider than they are. Basically, I've thought about this many years, that I think that a teacher should always make their students better than they are if they can in any way. And they should impart all the wisdom that they have and more, basically, everything that they've learned and more. Go ahead.
I sent you a picture on Discord of the pack of Slurricane from Archive. And the one, it looks good.
Oh,
like
on
the
Discord,
one that,
sorry.
the one he did, one Fletcher looked, I mean, strain, they're both fantastic.
Oh,
Like, I don't know if you've ever smoked Slurricane, but that thing is frosted. Just frosted. It's awesomeness.
Slurricane F1.
Probably should name it something different.
I
No,
mean, like I say,
they had
that's
a little-
there's like I don't know. That's the best
had
kind
a
of
little,
pettiness. I don't know.
They had a little thing, you know. I wonder if I don't know. It'd be interesting to have in-house on. I didn't know for long until recently. Actually, it's kind of weird that he's based out of Seattle. I had no idea.
Well,
Yeah, so it'd be kind of cool to have him on. Maybe he knows Fletcher. We don't know. I have no idea. Right. So maybe it could have been something more personal than just the surface that we're seeing of strain jacking. Right. Who knows? It'd be interesting to hear the story because it's been probably 4 or 5 years at least now. So maybe it's cooled off and they talk about it.
that reminds me of the Pulp Fiction where John Travolta's talking to Uma Thurman and she's like, "No, Rocky Della Horta, fuck, I can't remember the characters' names, but some Hawaiian dude apparently got thrown off a building, supposedly for rubbing her feet, was the story." And she's like, "No, he didn't get thrown off the fucking building. No, Marcellus didn't throw him off the building for you rubbing my fucking feet. It was something between Marcellus and that guy. We don't know what the problem was." But
yeah,
so we're like, "Oh, fucking Fletcher was mad because blah blah." It might have been something else for all we know. Yeah,
could have been something totally different. Maybe he doesn't care if people cross his seeds, because that was like an Instagram war is basically what that was, right? And so we only saw limited exchange of what actually happened. So
who the fuck knows?
I don't think you should expect that your products aren't going to be bred. I mean, what about like purebred dogs? they don't expect like you're not going to breed them. I mean, and they
Although
or
sometimes they have contracts,
unless
they'll
they
be
just
like, "Oh,
neuter
you
them.
can only bring the dog back to us." Blah blah blah. They do sometimes have some very strange
They
provisions.
do.
Yeah,
Huh?
weird stud stuff. Yeah, weird stud contracts and shit. I've heard with pit bulls and different mastiffs. Breeding rights, can only be granted certain dogs because yeah.
I guess if you're willing to buy that product, I guess that's whatever. You commit to the rules, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, I would want to know that. I'd want to know, like, if I'm buying a pack of seeds, oh, we don't want you to touch these fucking seeds. We don't want you to, play with these genetics. And I've had a problem with. Go ahead.
My opinion is if I don't know, anybody, not you, anybody, regardless of the plant, it doesn't even have to be cannabis. If it's a regular seed and there's male and female seeds in there, and you sell them, then you should have the expectation that people are going to create future generations with those seeds.
Yeah.
You're right.
Be mad. You shouldn't be mad. You shouldn't care. If anything, it's a compliment.
Especially if you sell males, like you said. Because what are you going to do with the males? Otherwise, you either throw them away or breed them.
If you just sell feminized seeds or feminized autos, then maybe that's a little bit more.
But even then, why would you assume that they're not going to breed with those seeds? People have been increasing seeds since the beginning of freaking people doing seeds. Like
the only reason I would say that is because if you did auto regs, sure. But the feminized thing, it's like I feel like you're trying to cap it off. Like this is the end of this gene pool of this piece of artwork. You can grow it and clone it and do whatever you want, no problem with that. But
feminized autos.
But if you breed into it, I gave you something that it's missing some genes, right? Mm-hmm. So by you doing that, it's not that you're gonna fuck up further gene pools down the road. Like maybe come to me and ask me, maybe I have a more pure version I can give you and share with you for breeding purposes, but the part the feminized auto, its intention was for the end user to use and utilize and grow and smoke, right? It wasn't that product didn't.
That actually makes perfect sense too, by the way, because you have to basically you'd probably have to do 2 generations of breeding to get to that feminine. As far as I understand how to make autos, you'd have to basically do 2 generations of breeding to get those stable seeds. But once you get to that feminized auto, unless you have a new male to use or you somehow I don't even know, can you feminize? I guess you probably could use feminized pollen at that point, but I haven't really thought of it that far. But I guess at that point you have kind of terminal genetics until you use, I guess, the feminized pollen. What am I trying to say? That is a product that I'm just fucking babbling at this point. I'm smoking too much fucking Acapulco Gold.
It also becomes a very complex thing when you start thinking about feminized autos and pollen and the timing and keeping parental stock. That's a complex road. I've never gone down that road. I'm not an auto breeder. That's its own. That ruderalis thing is its own dedicated.
I've thought about. Excuse me. I've thought about doing it. I was gonna start an auto project this year. I think it's. I don't know. I think it's kind of on hold, but yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I don't know. I'm not super impressed by autos, but I'm intrigued, and I'm intrigued basically because of the utility for people, for new growers and stuff. It's so easy to grow an auto. It was so easy for me to grow a freaking auto on my desk. Any fucking buddy could grow it, and literally the flower was okay. Actually, the high was actually all right. I was pleasantly surprised on the high. The rest of the experience was kind of crap, so I think a lot else could be improved. But so, like, long story short, like, there's nothing inherently bad about that. It just needs a lot of work, a lot of improvement. So anyway, I thought about it. Maybe one of these days I'll get to it. It's a lot of work, though. Like you say, you have to really commit to it, because that's the thing. You have to be breeding and selecting at the same time. And unfortunately, the way pollen is, you kind of probably have to stop doing everything else for a little while. So that's something that occurred to me. I was like, fuck, I'm going to have basically auto pollen flying around everywhere. I can't really risk that with my regular stuff. So I'd have to do either one or the other. It's a little frustrating, but whatever. Well, we're actually overtime. Cheers, Jeff. What's going on, man? We haven't chatted with you.
Yeah, I don't know. Lately, I've been thinking about how mRNA could be used with plants.
Tell us more.
Well, I know I've read that they're looking into, well, that's a little scary, but they're looking into having plants basically being used to make us immune to viruses or to give RNA to us, basically.
Uh-huh.
To have the plants produce RNA, and it's from what I read, it survives in your digestive system and somehow gets in the cells. There were some examples that were cited. So I know they're looking into that for plants that we need to administer RNA to humans. But I was wondering, you could actually RNA is a messenger RNA, mRNA, which is what's used in the COVID vaccine to produce the spike protein. So that's further on down the line than DNA. So DNA makes mRNA. So you could basically introduce mRNA and see how it might affect a phenotype. And
So
then
introducing
if it's
mRNA
good,
to the plant in some way to change the phenotype a little bit.
yeah, and see how so then it would start producing whatever so there's a corresponding gene to each mRNA. So a gene makes a messenger RNA. The genes are inside the nucleus, and then the mRNA is able to leave the nucleus. The protection of the nucleus goes into the ribosome and then makes stuff in the ribosome. But and it's further on down the line. So you could introduce mRNAs for different things and see how it might affect a phenotype. And then if it's favorable, then introduce DNA to make it permanent. So I guess it's very complicated, and the big thing with the COVID vaccine was getting the RNA to survive and go into the cell and make its way into. It's got to eventually get to the ribosome. So that's tricky. It's all tricky. So, but it's just theoretical. But I could see big corporations eventually doing it. Yes, there was a lot of talk about making triploids, basically, is the main thing, or even tetraploids. But that was all.
A lot of people are quite worried about any kind of of course we know that CRISPR technology until now. I guess I couldn't probably summarize it right now, frankly. They splice in new information. Oh, you know what? Now I'm way too high, apparently,
into DNA. And so that's how you might modify the DNA if you found like some mRNA that was favorable. So then you could basically introduce the DNA that makes that mRNA continually in the plant, and it could be passed down also. But yeah, the CRISPR, it identifies.
So how does this
segments.
differ from introducing mRNA? This is way above our pay grade. I think you're realizing. Dr. Jeff is like,
actually,
these fucking idiots. Do I really have to describe genetic engineering to these people?
Just hobby.
Yeah,
I'm not. And I have
this
kids,
right here is
not
playing
into any of
God.
this.
Cas9 is playing God. We don't know enough about the genome, in my opinion, to start extracting things out. But
The European Union is super
vaccine
against gene editing and GMO, this and that, and so other. But most of the rest of the world is not. The U.S. is super pro gene editing and GMO, this and that. China is super into it. India is into it. They have the freaking golden rice now, which, for what it's worth, is apparently feeding lots of people.
And then there's also these could just be mRNAs that's naturally produced by plants, and then introduce DNA that's actually in plants. But it also gives possibility for creating some, create your own terpene, but you basically to some way to, create a terpene, let's say, or have the plant produce some chemical that you design. And so that even gets more into that. We were talking about proprietary DNA, and now breeders get upset when you say, what if you create your own alleles, and then
I've got it now.
somebody else is trying to use them.
Dr. Jeff, we're going to call up Snoop. It's going to be called Snoop's Gene and Juice. It's basically a root drench, mRNA root drench for your plants that ups the terpenes. Snoop's Gene and Juice. My apologies.
Yeah.
I don't know what I mean. I don't know. I think Joel was like right, like it's like the female plant. I mean the cannabis plant, like it has both. Like it has both chromosomes, right? It's like it can go either way. So really, the feminized thing is not really. Like I like to explain it in a wrong way, where I'm saying you're taking a perfectly good female and you spraying some herm juice on her, and you make it forcing her to hermy. He's like, well, that's maybe not the right way to look at it, because really you're not making it hermy. You're forcing hormones. You're blocking certain hormones, and what's it like ethylene or whatever. You're basically you're blocking things, right? So it's not producing it. So it only produces the stamen, right? It doesn't produce the female flowers. And so in a way, you're not really fucking up the gene pool as much as I originally thought. And I'm not as against feminized seeds as I once was. I'm gonna dive more into the science of that. But
I don't think you're messing up the gene pool so much. I think you're right. I think maybe the previous criticism was excessive. I'm trying to think right now if it's analogous to. I don't think it's analogous. I think it's only like analogous, sort of metaphorically, to human sex hormones and stuff. For example, if people transition, I guess just basically as an analogy, I guess it's sort of the same though. Like you can basically take hormones to, I guess, develop breasts, or I suppose lose them basically. So you would lose those secondary sex characteristics. But again, I don't think it's actually a proper analog. But I also, no, I don't. I think the problem is, go ahead, Jeff, you know way more about this than we do.
No, I was just going to say that as far as feminine seeds go, I don't like using them because it's a crapshoot to me. That sometimes they're great, you get a great female, but I've gotten one that just like put out full on balls.
That's like bad breeding, I think. More than anything else, I think that was bad breeding. And I think a lot of the feminized breeders, I hate to say it, but I think a lot of them have been really just kind of cashing in basically, and a lot of them have been using very lazy sort of breeding just to make it super fast. I might be wrong, maybe that's just my bad impression.
No, but
I've heard a lot of people say the same kind of thing, where just a lot of the feminized stuff has just been, man, I can't find any keepers, blah blah blah. Well, that's just because it's shitty breeding, like honestly, because again the selfed pollen becomes a new male. Basically, you can think of it, and anytime you cross that back to another female, you're creating another F1. So for example, even if you were to self slurricane that we were just talking to onto itself, like you were going to basically feminize the same slurricane female onto itself, it would now technically be an F1. So you won't actually get identical clones of that plant, but you will get a necked down, because it's basically a line breeding project. You've essentially taken a brother, it's a fake brother now, but you've taken a brother and crossed to a female. You could think of it at best maybe as an F2. It's not, I guess it's not that still, because it's still not a filial thing, but you're basically creating a new cross again. And so you have variety. You don't have that.
But it's only from a limited part of the gene pool from that particular phenotype.
True. Which again could have a bunch of recessive traits and everything else, because again, a lot of the freaking awesome clones that people use these days, I've said, and I think we should talk about this more with someone who knows better than I do, at least, that I think a lot of the awesome stuff has been found and not made. And so if it has been found, it was not selected out of a population of 1,000 to avoid all the potential recessive traits that you might get. It was instead picked as an amazing outlier, and then consequences be damned. And then when you breed that as an F1 F1 basically as a male, as the male of an F1,
Back up.
wouldn't you know it, the problems fucking ensue because you're
Yeah,
crossing that
it-
to
you-
other
you've opened,
super
you've
stuffs.
opened the gene pool back up, right? So it's like opening the wounds back up. But
Yep.
now you've opened it back up. Now there's more shit to select from. So maybe
That's
there's
right.
some might be some bad shit in there and some good shit.
There might be some good stuff too. Absolutely. But that's why you hear about this incredible variety with the feminized breeding, because I think a lot of the breeders just have not gone through that effort. Again,
And then
maybe I'm wrong, but
then there was that term that was coined by Swerve, super male, where he what it means is that when you find them, when you create feminized seeds, and you among the population of the feminized seeds, one of them is male. He considered that a super male, and they would do some breeding, and it became such a popular term that Mosca Seeds was using it and calling things super male. And I was like,
I
man,
had some stuff years ago with super male in it, and I remember looking all over the fucking internet. I couldn't find a goddamn word. Nobody could give me a straight answer for it. And then I thought at some point that it was like a triple X chromosome, blah blah blah, like kind of like what is it? What do they call it for humans, where it's XXY?
it was
I
Swerve.
can't think of the fucking word. Apparently that. All right,
Swerve.
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
There's Jacob's disease, I think, where it's XYY.
Hmm.
Get really tall, skinny men, and usually often criminals have that disease too.
Really?
An unusually high percentage
Huh.
have an extra male chromosome.
Why oh why?
It's pretty,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, when you self, it's never going to be the same because there's genetic recombination when you make the haploid. So the chromosomes are always going to be different. And so it could be good, it could be bad. You get more, you probably tend towards more homozygosity, but the traits that you want may not, be with that. May, you may get homozygotic dominant, may get homozygotic recessive. And there's also codominance. Something
A huge amount of plants that are both tiny and shitty.
So some traits need codominant. There could be more than one dominant gene, and there's codoms where you need one of each to get that. So, like in people, that's AB blood type. Is you have both A and the B dominant gene. So you basically produce both. So I don't know what kind of trait that might be, but.
What do the blood type traits confer? Do they confer any advantages, really?
What? I'm sorry. What's that question?
In humans, like I've actually wondered this before. What do the blood types actually do? Do they confer any
Quite
kind
a
of
bit.
advantage?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, that's quite a. Yeah, that's quite a big topic. And I'm not a genius. It's not really my study, but yeah, we definitely have different resistance to different like diseases and stuff. Like there's yeah, I know it was very important. Like my mom's got she was a type O negative. I guess it's a pretty rare blood type, and like she can only get certain blood. Like hers, I think it's A. She can only get it from A or something. A positive.
Oh, is she one of the universal donors? See, this is how little
Yeah,
I
she's
know
one
about
of the
blood types.
universal donors, but she can't universally receive. She can universally give, right? And it's like,
interesting.
Like I think I have like type A or something. I don't know. I don't know, but there's definitely there's definitely some differences in the genetic makeup of the blood, and it's different resistance to viral loads and pathogens and there's other stuff too, like how antibiotics and other medicines affect different people, right? Some of it's based on that. So I don't know how that transfers to plants. I don't know. For mammals, it's
I
important.
don't think they have. I mean, they have. Who used to talk about how hemoglobin and chlorophyll are so similar.
Yeah, they're just
but
one.
I don't
one
think
difference.
they have blood types in plants, do they? Let's see. Do plants have blood types?
Yes, there is a chlorophyll type, different chlorophyll, right? Right. As far as that goes, but
3 distinct types
yeah,
of
the chlorophyll
hemoglobin
has the
exist.
one
Dr.
magnesium
UC Jeff,
and-
you fucking nailed it. symbiotic, non-symbiotic, and truncated hemoglobins. Wow. See, this is why people come to this show, because even at the very end, when we talked about we didn't talk
Stuff
about
we don't know.
right?
Yeah.
Then we
Did
finally
find out
looked
it was
something up.
one iron in the hemoglobin, right? And one
Well,
magnesium and
folks, three bumbling fools talking
chlorophyll.
about shit we just
That's
absolutely
right.
know nothing about.
We should name this episode Two Bumbling Fools, and then Jeff stops by. Plants, like humans, contain hemoglobin. Three distinct types of hemoglobin exist in plants: symbiotic, non-symbiotic, and truncated hemoglobin. Crystal structures and other structural and biophysical techniques have revealed important knowledge about ligand binding and conformational stabilization in all three types. You know what? This is actually just the abstract.
Wow.
I'm realizing now. Research has implicated these plants' hemoglobins in a number of possible functions, differing among hemoglobin types and possibly between plant species. All right. Look that up on Wikipedia.
Interesting.
Yeah. Wonder where that is.
You
know, if it's just in the plant.
Plant hemoglobin. No, we don't have it.
Yeah, but plants, and they have an extra set of chromosomes in the chloroplast. Even beyond, like we have the mitochondrial and they have mitochondrial DNA. Besides the nuclear DNA, and then they have chloroplast also has its own DNA. So in a way, they're more advanced than us. I always imagined like someday to get chloroplast into humans. Yeah, I mean it's totally just a pipe thought, but little green men and everything, because then be able to produce our own food.
That'd be a trip. You're just walking around photosynthesizing.
Yeah, instead of sunbathing, just sunbathing,
photosynthesizing,
filling up, yeah.
Hey, Bill, shut up, I'm eating. I don't know if it has to be quiet. I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be quiet as you're standing there photosynthesizing. That's an amusing thought, though. Like you're on your lunch break and you're just standing outside like a tree.
Yeah.
What's for lunch today? 70 and sunny. It's good.
Little chemical factories that would make oxygen and sugars. Well, the oxygen, but the sugars mainly for us, but yeah.
Be super handy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to worry about freaking standing in line at freaking, I don't know, some fast food place. Have you seen the price of food lately? Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's
time to photosynthesize.
I just went up.
It's like $15 for like a fast food meal.
Straight up, yeah.
I went to the grocery store and went to the deli, and Boar's Head roast beef was $15.99 a pound.
Huh.
I was like, what? $16 a pound for deli meats?
Oh, I've seen turkey. Even fucking Costco is turkey is like $11 or $12 a pound in some cases. Yeah, stuff is crazy priced. Yeah,
I haven't bought deli meats, I guess, in a while, but it's good to pay with cash for two reasons. I found. So this is like the second time. Like I give them, it's like 42 and change, and I give them like 43, and I don't know. They give me like $1 and some other change back. Like I don't know. Like, okay, and then one time at Target, it was like.
Oh, because there's no ATM fee or whatever.
They can't do math.
Oh.
And so they just give you like some extra. Here's some bills to you get.
Here's some fucking money. I don't know.
I gave him like a 10 and 3 singles, and they're giving me like 2 singles back and some change. Like okay, I don't know. Was there extra coupon or discount or something? That I'm looking at the receipt, and at first they looked like befuddled, and then they just hand you like a bunch of money. And then the other thing is there's this bakery, so they're doing pretty good. And it's just small bakery. The he's actually trained in France by Bouchard, who's like a famous chef, and he worked at Michelin star restaurants. Now he's got his own bakery. It is really cool. Yeah, really high prices too, like $6 croissants and $4.50 for macaroons, like a
Mm.
big macaroon. But and his macaroons are especially, they're those like the flavored, egg white. So they're bigger though than normal. But anyway, going there, and there you're always busy. You went online, and I pay with cash, and they always go, "Oh, we don't have change." Or they go, oh, we don't, they look in the corner, oh, this was giving me like 85 cents back or something. And like, oh, we don't have change. And like, so the first time that happened, he said, he was like, oh, can we give you, something? So he gave me, some cookie or something. So now this happens. This is like the third time it's happened. I don't know, everyone wants to pay with credit card there. They never have change. And I always say, well, they kind of look at me for a while. Like sometimes, it's like maybe like for the first time it was one of it might have been the key baker, but then it's like somebody that's working there, and they look at me for a little bit, and then I say, well, can you give me something? And then they always do. I always get like some kind of like $4 item or something. It's like to them it's like they can give me a dollar bill, but I guess to them instead of giving like even 85 cents, it's worth giving like something that they normally would sell for like $4, like some little like
I mean, I'll take a $4 cookie. Shit.
Vanilla.
Like
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
if you can't accept a cookie as a like a gratuity or gift or something, I think you're dead inside.
No, I love it. Yeah, I always go. I get like 4 things, and it's like 20 something bucks. And so I don't feel bad either. Getting, it's just like, but I do it. It's not like I'm
It is
not.
amusing
That's
though,
what I
because
do.
just a few years ago it was all like cash, and if you paid with card, they're like, sir, I don't know, we
Yeah,
don't have a machine, or I don't know what you want from us. Like, can you pay with cash, please, or a check? Yeah, now all of
but
a
now
sudden
they
it's
kind of
completely
like
flipped.
look at me in the silence, kind of like, oh, we don't have change, kind of like expecting me to say, oh, just keep the change, which normally I might do, but now I know I get something good. So I'm like, can you give me something?
Now you
But
have me. I realize that. Well, I've realized this for a while. I'm very suggestible with food. Basically, I cannot talk about these kinds of things because now I really want to go to a deli and get like black and white cookies and some like basically like a Jewish deli and get some like. But if I'm going to go to a Jewish deli, I want to get a bagel too. Now that I'm thinking about
Jewish
it.
delis
Fuck.
are the best. We
Oh,
do have
fuck
a
off,
good,
yeah.
we do have a
We have
Jewish
very
deli.
few Jewish delis in Portland now.
We
Oh,
have
and the
a
one that
great-
I know, basically, I could go to one here on the east side. There's one that I keep meaning to go to, but they have the most fucked up hours for me. They're always like basically closed. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one called Sherman's Deli, and it has the absolute best sandwiches, the best cakes, the best everything.
It's one thing I miss about California. Fuck. The traffic and so many other things are a fucking nightmare in California. But god damn it. Like especially LA, Cantor's, and Cantor's isn't even the only one. But they're open 24 hours a day. I think almost 365 days a year. I think they do close a couple days of the year, but they're basically open the whole fucking year. You can get eggs Benedict at 3 o'clock in the morning if you want to. You can get whatever. They have amazing baked goods and stuff, and they're not even expensive either. You'd assume they'd be just fucking horrifically expensive. They're not. They're like normally priced, honestly. Not to mention they have Mel's and a bunch of other places that are open. Fuck, I miss that, honestly. Yeah.
What's your opinion of Norm's?
Oh, I like Norm's. I honestly like Norm's. But Norm's is not like high-end diner food,
No.
but I really like Norm's. Yeah. Especially for like a chain place or something, it's quite good. California still has quite a few decent chains. It's kind of, I guess, because a lot of them started in California, maybe. But they have a few. In-N-Out, for example, they're quite good.
They're expanding, like
In-N-Out is?
Yeah, they're going east.
Huh.
Yeah, it's really strange, and like they have them in
I
Utah.
hope that's a good thing. I mean, people have been begging them to go public for the longest time. It's still a private corporation, which has been actually a very bad thing, frankly, for the family. It's been kind of tragic. Their family history has been really quite sad. But it's kind of an interesting story about how money can ruin a family as opposed to help them. But they've kept it private, and as a result of that have had tight control over the entire supply chain. And that's one of the reasons why they're so good, because they control the beef, they control the freaking produce that goes in, they control the I think they have bakers, but they still control the bakeries, so they are very tightly sourced. So the burgers are the same everywhere. Well, once you get too big, you start to have other distribution channels, and that you can never be the same.
McDonald's McDonald's is pretty consistent, but that's a different story.
McDonald's, but that's their whole thing. They're like that McDonald's whole thing is their freaking infrastructure. I mean, they basically mail order you freaking burger patties to any place in the world, right? To Moscow. Well, it used to be to Moscow. You could get freaking frozen burger patties for your McDonald's ski franchise. Actually, I don't know if the Moscow ones are franchised.
I was
That was
thinking
one of
one
the
good
ironies.
thing
Go ahead, Jeff.
about the big corporations doing, say agriculture, is that you're probably not going to get like somebody on a small farm, like, oh, the crop, got some infestation, and then late at night they spray it with something that they're not supposed to, and just to save his crop. Whereas you have somebody that's working for a big corporation, they're probably not going to risk doing something basically illegal like that. The corporation will just, oh, well, we'll have to throw this away, and it just works into the whole profit line.
Hmm.
There's probably that.
A little of both, right? Because I mean, how many times have we heard about corporate malfeasance? But you're right. Like, what fucking Joe Blow employee is going to risk his goddamn neck and everything else to save his corporation and break the law just for his corporation? He's just going to, we'll just write it off. And they just they'll write off an entire freaking wing. That's what we've been hearing about, all these mega cannabis companies, basically one after another, from Canada to now the US. They've been, failing one after another. And a lot of these different companies have been realizing that the write-offs have been more profitable than the crops would have ever been. Just a deep irony. But you get paid more money for not growing weed than you do get paid for growing weed. It's kind of ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. It used to be that way. There was a time, farmers were
Holy
paid.
shit, that was fast. Nathaniel Chambers. Mailed it on Monday and it got here on Wednesday. Right on. Glad you got it. Well, shit on a stick, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. I think maybe we could always probably hit the next 20. I was just thinking we might basically bail on the next. Why is it so quiet all of a sudden? Anyway, we might bail on tonight's show. I don't know. What do you think, Flora? Dee's not here, so I think Dee's sending a quiet message to us that he wants to take the night off.
That's. I got some shit I got to do anyway.
Right. Sounds good.
Saturday guest. I do. So I don't. I'll make. But it's in the daytime. I might make Saturday's show. I have a guest on Saturday.
Sounds good. Who do you have on Saturday?
We'll type here for you.
Oh, that'll be a good one. Nice. Sweet. That'll be a great guest. Oh shit. Now I hope I don't know if I'm free on Saturday now. I hope I am, so I can go actually talk to that guest. That would be super fun.
Can you help me with that one? That'd be amazing.
I will try. We'll see about Saturday. I think I might be free on Saturday and maybe not Sunday. So maybe that'll work out. Actually, we'll see.
We'll talk between them.
Super fun. Yeah. But in the meantime, maybe we'll call it. I don't know. Maybe we'll give it another 20 minutes or so. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to hop on here for, let's do last call here. Let's do like civilized people.
So this, I smoke a lot of weed, and there's a lot of things I know, but there's a lot of things I fucking forget. And there's things I fucking, I don't know, I scramble mixed up in my brain. But is Dave Watson Skunkman Sam? Is that the same entity?
I thought so.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Okay, I was wondering if I was mixing that up in my brain. Because I see stuff where I see like two different stories where like I'm trying to find the origins.
Oh, he is a controversial character.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find origins on Blue Dream, and some origins will point to Dave Watson, and some origins will point to unknown, saying that just Hayes Brothers Hayes, the Santa Cruz Hayes cut, the DJ Short Blueberry.
Well, the Hayes brothers are supposed to be basically Skunkman Sam and Connell Clark.
Yeah. I want to know when the first time. I want to know where the fucking Blue Dream actually really came from.
Right.
And then talk to some people that were like in the first wave of Blue Dream, because I was late to Blue Dream. I just didn't discover it until about 2009-10. Apparently, it was already popular in California before that. But we bought the shit out of that stuff in like 2010.
I mean, that's the kind of thing
Cool.
that to me seems very apocryphal. I mean, Skunkman Sam has been super influential, but why did he all of a sudden create Blue Dream? Why would he have, I don't know. And why is it not popular in Holland? I guess it was popular in Holland, but it's more popular in California. No, it was a super California thing. Like when you think of California weed, like Blue Dream pops up.
Yeah. Northern California, especially.
Yeah, NorCal.
I feel like sometimes Skunkman Sam is like he's like Baba Yaga from freaking John Wick movies or something, right? He's like the voice that basically everyone is scared of, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe he's not. Like, I don't know.
Jorge mentioned him last night.
Pardon?
Jorge mentioned him
Oh, he
last
did?
night.
Yeah,
Watson.
absolutely. Yeah.
I guess, in Amsterdam, I think he had something going on.
Well, he's a
But
super
then
controversial figure, but he's also super formative in cannabis history. Go ahead.
But was supposedly worked with law enforcement at some point.
It seems logical to assume that might have happened based on his sort of career trajectory. There's some really interesting sort of threads online about Skunkman Sam when you search about it. I don't know. It's tough to say how much of that is apocryphal and how much of it is real. Maybe some of his friends know, maybe people like Jorge and so on know a little bit more, but at the same time, maybe none of that is really knowable. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if anyone got burned by it or anything. Just that,
but Kilowatt just woke up and missed most of the safety meeting. I mean, I guess you could hit it on repeat, but if you wanted to, you could back up, I suppose.
It's on the 10th.
Here he comes.
At 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's what is that for us? Is that 6?
5 p.m. No, wait. Yeah, 5 p.m. I think. There's Bud. Cheers.
5 p.m.
Is that right? I think that's 5 p.m.
Anyway, that's the time. I just sent it to you. So
right on. No, wait. Mountain is fuck off. Or 2 hours ahead.
Mountain, well, yeah, it's Colorado time.
What time is it right now in Mountain Time?
Colorado. 3 o'clock.
Oh, so it's 1 hour. 1 hour ahead.
Sorry, I can't help with that.
Oh, you fucking garbage, sir. You can't even tell me Mountain Time.
Well, it's Denver time, right? He's in Denver. So 3 o'clock would be.
There's a large language model. I cannot tell where you are.
What's going on, far away. It's a whole state away. Whole state away. It's can't get. What are you asking about? Yeah.
Right.
2 states away.
What's the good word, Bud?
Slept in. Just woke up about 20 minutes ago. Realized you were on since noon and missed most of it. But yeah, I guess I needed some sleep.
There you go.
Well,
you were having a good
stayed
time
up last night. I left halfway through last night. I guess right around time Jorge left. And then I looked, this morning that was only half the show. So yeah, I still have to go through that. I guess if Bud was still going through all that, yeah, he had a late night too. He was still.
It was fun talking to Jorge though, wasn't he? He's a cool guy. It was fun talking to I don't even know. I mean, it's interesting talking to people like that because they're really just people, right? Like he goes to the grocery store and he stands in line like anybody, right? Like he goes to his local grocery store and says, "Hola, señora." They don't know anything about him, right? Just some freaking American guy, right? But for us, he's like a living legend, right? Because we read his books and this and that. And it was, I regret asking him kind of a cringy question, like, "Oh, what's it like knowing all those, fellow legends, blah, blah, blah." Because I mean, for him, it literally is like they're his buddies, they're his friend, fucking Carol and whatever. It's kind of a strange thing, but at the same time, sometimes you can't help but being starstruck. It's interesting.
I was the only question I was thinking I'd ask him is, what are some of the most memorable stories you have of then I don't know if maybe where you almost got busted or craziest thing that's ever happened or trippiest thing, so just some stories basically, because he must.
I was going to ask him
from his experiences. It must have a lot.
Has there ever been a time when your disguise failed and someone recognized you? I wonder if law enforcement or somebody was like, "Oh,
yeah, something at High Times, something crazy thing at High Times."
That's not a Rastafarian. That's actually Jorge Cervantes. And then he
Wonder if he still has the suit.
rips off that disguise, and underneath is his other disguise. He actually is a brunette, a 4'10" brunette ninja. Oh, by the way, apparently ninjas, I just read this the other day, the black ninja costume might be a misinterpretation of the stagehands for like that's not kabuki, whatever, Japanese freaking opera or whatever.
Ninja.
And
Yes,
I guess
made it up.
the convention was that if the character is dressed in black, the audience is not supposed to be able to see them. And so the audience just kind of ignored the people that are in black. And so if you see these characters that are dressed in black, those are apparently the stagehands. At least this is a theory now, apparently, for why so-called ninjas dress in black.
Well, ninjas never existed. Samurai.
I've
did.
heard that. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, the whole ninja thing was made up 19th century.
Hmm.
But and sold as like folklore. But they never existed. Samurai did exist though.
Mm-hmm.
They were very real. And what's very
They apparently still
interesting
exist
about
as
samurai-
a class, like a samurai
Yeah.
class, or whatever.
And what's very interesting about samurai is that there are more samurai shrines in Korea than all of Japan.
Why is
But
that?
it's a very Japanese thing because they occupied Korea at one time.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's
Yeah.
kind of sad. So that means like there was shrines to themselves or whatever as they were
Well,
occupying
there's
Korea.
Shinto shrines and Buddhist
I
shrines,
gotcha.
and samurai thing, artifacts and stuff there. Yeah, and there's more
Hmm.
more been found in Korea than all of Japan.
Interesting.
Also, Korea is a bigger area. Well, I guess if you include what's connected to China.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Well,
Korea,
everybody's
Korea,
fucking joining
Korea,
on.
North Korea used to be the agriculture thing, like, it's all green and lush. Like people
It's
don't
far
look at it.
bigger than South Korea is
Far
too.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's far bigger, but like it was like an agricultural hub
Mhm.
of Asia at one time, and people don't even talk about that. Like, if this evil fucking kid and his family could if we could
His
figure out a
sister's
situation-
apparently even worse. What's up, Green
That's what I'm
Fingers?
saying. I don't know what the solution is there, but if those guys could ever come to some kind of democracy, the geography it's beautiful, right? It's like it could be like if we could ever get rid of the DMZ and make that one Korea and have like a real government and like real shit, like
Oh, it'd be a
look
fucking
at South
economic
Korea. South
powerhouse,
Korea is a
too.
technological fucking wonder of the world, South
Yeah.
Korea is
Yeah.
thriving.
Mhm.
Big shipbuilders.
I don't know. It's just weird how fucking this
They
little
get
shit.
shit done.
It's just crazy how little shithead family could just control such a could be so powerful of a nuisance of the world.
Yeah.
Wait, their family's it's generational, right? It was his
Mhm.
dad, and even I think,
Monarch.
yeah, I mean, so, and I don't know much about it, but I think the people of North Korea are so controlled by all this. They love him, like overwhelmingly, like unlike in Russia, there's a big contingent of people that hate Putin for a long time. In North Korea, they all love that dude. They
I
think
don't know
he's
if there's a
lit.
big contingent of people that hate Putin. His popularity is super high, but of course you can never really judge the popularity ratings in authoritarian countries because people know better than to say, what they really think. But at the same time, people do sometimes do the polling. So I don't know. Long story short, Putin is really super popular. He's won elections like over and over and over again for a bunch of years now. And
By
the
force.
same question is, but
What?
at the same time, it's by force. You know what I mean? Like you might
Yeah.
fall out of a window if you vote the other way. Same
Yeah.
thing in North Korea. And like everybody that smiles and laughs at the president gets to live, and everyone who doesn't, well, we don't know.
Mentioned his sister, and I saw a story a couple of years ago that like said what you said, like warned that, yeah, you think he's bad, she's
Mhm.
crazier than like anybody, and they show pictures of her. She is a little crazy.
Yeah, she's got the crazy eyes. Yeah,
looking.
yeah. She had their uncle executed by an aircraft carrier gun.
It is
Wow.
Mhm.
That's fucking extreme.
Yeah, don't go to Thanksgiving with her. What's up, Green Fingers? Have you ever had a relative that was that extreme?
Yeah, I have.
Fucking
Yeah.
Aunt Bessie, man. Shit.
No, I was gonna say I might be that fucking relative. That's why I can't answer that one. I might be that fucking one. Now you were bringing up the Blue Dream, right? What were you talking about it? Like I got a pack from Eighth Brothers this weekend.
They're saying it's
From-
good.
You got a pack from you got a pack of seeds?
The seeds, yeah, from the Eighth Brothers. That's what I was tripping when you said seeds. I was like, well, I got a pack of seeds.
Who are the
and
H
I'm
brothers?
using the Eighth Brothers? I have no idea.
I never heard of them.
Yeah,
Is there a
no.
website? There's a QR code there.
Yeah, there's a QR code, and
Hang on.
Take you
Let
to
me
Instagram.
see if I can
Instagram.
scan it. Hang on 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let's see.
Let me get the pack. It
Let's
might
see
be
if-
better. The bigger pack might be
No,
better.
it's not clear enough for me to scan. Damn it. Come on, iPhone.
Let me try the
No,
pack
not
in there. It looks better.
clear.
It looks better and clearer. Watch.
Be focused enough. There you go. That might be better.
That one looks way more clear.
Hold it back slightly because I think it's 2 foot. There we go. Now it'll focus.
I can't see him behind the bag. There you go. I can see now. On my head.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't know. Maybe my
what
phone
your
just.
mama said.
you know.
It just takes you to their Instagram though. So if you go to Instagram and go to Eighth Brothers, it's
H Brothers or Eighth Brothers? Oh, Eighth Brothers.
yeah, Eighth Brother.
I've never heard of these people. Let's look these people up.
They give a free bag. I mean, a free pack of seeds, 10 to 15 seeds away with the purchase of 1 at the dispensary. So it's pretty okay. I almost greened out the first joint, which is a problem. Like, man, I want to throw up in front of my mom. I was like, she
Yeah,
don't
well, I
have
haven't
anything
greened
else
out on a
on.
joint for a while. That sounds good.
Like, yeah, I was like, it's a little bit resiny. When you touch it, your fingers just kind of are caked right out the bag, but it's like, just looks like it's degraded weed because it looks kind of brownish, but still fucking sticky as fuck. I'll show another right now. Wasn't impressed when I first opened it and smelled it, and I almost threw up, and I was like, man, that's might be too good. Or it's outdoor, sun grown.
Yeah, Blue Dream though.
So
right?
apparently the pizzeria voice, the guy that voices the pizzeria owner in Bob's Burgers, has been charged for storming the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Oh my God, we are living in the stupidest timeline.
What? He was one of the
He's the
horn
dude. I don't know that show super well, but he's like the villain pizzeria guy across the street.
The horn guy.
Apparently,
though.
the voice of that guy's voice actor, really, apparently stormed the Capitol.
The
In
horn
addition
dude
to being
kinda got
a-
in most trouble, right?
I guess, yeah.
The dude with the horns.
Do that. I don't know. No, that was the fucking shaman guy. He's out of jail now, apparently.
Fucking weirdo.
Oh my.
Yeah, when he was in jail, he filed a federal suit complaining about the vegan diet.
What?
Yeah, that was
They care.
yeah, that's right, with the horn or the whatever. Yeah, he had a federal lawsuit going saying that the diet wasn't vegan enough or something.
Yeah.
It's probably genuinely harmless. I think it was like they said he had a spear because he had a flag with a pointed tip, an American flag and a pointed tip. I think.
I mean, storming the fucking Capitol is not harmless. That's the thing.
Well,
You know, like,
Yeah,
I don't
we-
know. We were talking about this a couple of years ago, and I remember a bunch of people were like, oh, it sounds like great fun and it's cool and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, these people were literally storming the Capitol. And as it's turned out, people died, cops got freaking beat to death. They were literally trying to hang Mike Pence. It was just, and for probably for every one of the crazies, there were 2 or 3 less crazies, but that doesn't make it all that
Yeah.
much better.
No.
Whenever you looked at other moments or movements in the past, it doesn't really take all that much to cause savage violence, basically.
Right. He
And
basically
not
voted with
everyone in the
them
crowd
trying to-
has to be
that's
on
it.
board with the savage
Right.
violence for the savage violence to happen. And then basically you end up having kind of a sunk cost fallacy where everyone is an accomplice, basically. And so it gets even more violent. You know, there's been all kinds of lynchings. There's a famous sign like here lies Ned fuck oh, how does it fucking go? Uh Fuck, how does this goddamn anyway, long story short, these guys lynched a guy on accident because they thought he stole a horse. Turns out he was like, I didn't steal a fucking horse. And they found out afterwards that no, the horse like was literally running around the corner, but they lynched the fucking guy. They're like, well, he's dead now. So they put up a freaking statue for it.
I've looked at that and always thought, it wasn't the first group that's had issues with our government, the hippies and different racial things over the years. If any other group did anything close to that, holy shit, that it would have played out so differently. But somehow that group, we're still discussing whether the sentences or anything should have come of what those people did. Like, yeah, no, that was pretty gnarly what happened.
And possibly the worst thing is like it could be a trendsetter, like we're saying with Columbine, because really just a few months later there was actually another attack on the Capitol where the car, like single guy, go through a barrier and he had a knife, and there was a cop killed then too, one of the Capitol
think one of
Police,
the
and the guy died too. They shot him.
Was the lady that I
But that was
think
probably-
governor of Michigan, is it Michigan? Yeah, I mean, they arrested the same type of group of people that literally like were going to kill her. Like, they had like a whole plan and stuff. Like that was like a sign. Oh, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, yeah, we living in crazy times. I that's for sure.
We do. Oh, and yeah, but it's America. And it's just I don't. What we were saying last night about with Barcelona and Spain, how cannabis isn't legal there. Like, yeah, I was surprised too. And now I'm wondering, even like Germany's supposedly legal or going legal. Like, I wonder how that's gonna happen because Europe's always been that way. Amsterdam was never legal there, and
Just
Denmark
my
also.
friend-
When I was there, you can get cannabis, but it was never really legal.
Right.
But my one friend that lives in Germany like half the year, he knows what's going on in Germany and stuff. What I was saying last night and it makes sense that like how goes Germany will go the rest of the EU. So like as far as this cannabis issue, yeah, there's other countries that are more progressive or like been chomping at the bit to get move forward with cannabis like the rest of the world. But until Germany moves, none of them will move. And once Germany moves, then they all move, and it will just be. Which, yeah, that Spain's probably, believe it or not, caught up in that. Like.
I kind of remember. I thought it was Switzerland and Portugal also. Like all drugs were legal, basically.
Yeah,
They decriminalized them in Portugal, but they didn't really legalize them.
And
so you can't really get it or grow even just cannabis.
Portugal is just that it's more of a social issue than a criminal issue, right? So, yeah, it's not about going to jail; it's about getting help.
But they've also and unfortunately we're sort of seeing a perpendicular version of that problem here in Portland. People are, what is it, measure 111 or 112? I can't remember what it's called right now. But anyway, we basically decriminalized small quantities of pretty much all drugs year and a half ago or whatever it was, and it's been a little bit of a failure. A lot of people are really pretty pissed off about it. We've had these literal open air fentanyl markets because I think people didn't really remember, like, oh shit, it's not just cocaine and whatever and weed and stuff, it's also fucking fentanyl and whatever else. And so literally there was this building, I always forget the freaking name of it right now, but it used to be like when I was a kid, I remember going there like with my grandma and whatever. They were like kind of fancy stores and stuff inside. It was one of these kind of weird little mini shopping malls, whatever, that had like 5 stores, but it was literally one of these things, the Plaza or something, I think it's called. Anyway, it's kind of this cool building with this curved roof or whatever, but it's been basically vacant for a long time. And it became this open air fucking fentanyl market. And the police kept sweeping it and stuff. But then literally, as soon as they'd sweep it, like 2 hours later, there's like this zombie horde of people like coming to this thing. That is fucked up. Like nobody was basically, yeah, nobody was looking for that. Basically, people didn't want our jails to be filled with, small time drug users and everything else. But I guess where I'm going with this is that one of the problems, one of the differences, apparently now people are discovering between Portugal and us, or Switzerland and us, is that in Portugal and Switzerland, they have pretty robust social safety nets, basically, and also treatment programs. And so in addition to the drugs being decriminalized, they have a very extensive treatment programs for the people to actually get off the drugs. Whereas here, we're just like, you're on your own, pretty much. And that has not worked out too well.
Yeah, well, I think in the future, just like it turns out the CIA was behind the crack in LA, there's things that come out in the future. I think this place in Pennsylvania called Kensington, it's a hood in Philly. It's a CIA.
I remember Dirtman Dan talking about that.
I've seen street scenes. I go to Google. There's people that get hundreds of thousands of views for doing their daily video of what's going on there, which is basically mayhem. But the one thing you don't see is anybody trying to hustle for money. And if you know anything about street drug areas, it takes money. I think that there's like this thing going on in Kensington where our government or some fucking thing is giving away free fentanyl to just see what happens to, because these are people. I saw a thing that's like some of the people that are there daily, the regulars, their daily fentanyl need because of their addiction is enough to kill thousands of people. Their morning shot would kill 1,000 people, but because like that's the thing with this is the when given, like when you can just get it amounts of it, there's these humans living on like massive amounts of fentanyl. They're like zombies. Like it's just crazy.
Pays for that, buddy? Is that insurance paying for that? Who's paying for that?
They're using to the point where there's flesh and muscle, or is the like, yeah, there's people that have like a hand but no bone, like just bones.
Who's administering that though? Like who's paying for that and who's administering that to that level?
Yeah, well, like it's like in some ways I think it's some weird thing to see, like, yeah, well, what happens if
they use it for surgeries, right? Legitimately, like it's used in surgery and some other medical applications.
Probably from different sources, though. I think you can make it artificially, so you could probably make it, I don't even know, at home. I don't know.
But what he's talking about is fucking abuse. And if a medical professional that's taking a Hippocratic oath is,
I can't imagine it's in a hospital. No, I can't imagine it's that.
Done. It's like, it's some crazy idea. But when I watch this stuff, I've been following it for a couple years. Somehow in the back of my conspiracy mind, I'm thinking, yeah, they're giving dope away. Cause like people do these hour walkthroughs. They drive around and just show the block. A lot of times you think it's froze because these people like bent over, like it's this weird thing, like everything's super slow motion, like they're not even moving. There's the street scene, everyone's so fucking loaded, they're just out of it, right? You don't.
That shit's grim. Yeah, I remember Dan talking about that. It is uncomfortably grim. He was talking about, because he's from Philadelphia or whatever, somewhere in PA, and he was talking about, hey, you guys, you haven't even seen like the third world country. I can't remember how it came out, but it was something like that. We were like talking about messed up places in the world or something. He's like, oh, the most messed up place I know is Kensington. We were like, what the fuck is that? And he showed us like this Instagram, like you said, it had tons of followers, whatever else. That is uncomfortably grim for me to sort of.
There's the main police station where it's these steps where the police are coming in and out, right there in Kensington. That's the place where most of the addicts are on the sidewalk and in front of this area because it's safer there. But it's not like the cops can do anything. There's like people openly shooting up and all this shit. and the cops are just walking past them to get into their building. But it looks like the reason that so many people gravitate over to that one spot, it's safe, because like, yeah, you see people doing it. People are in this weird nod out, like they're out. They're completely out. And then other people come and take things off of them,
Duck out.
take their shoes, take their whatever.
Heroin thing.
Well, heroin, it's like, yeah, you nod out. The fentanyl is this weird zombie thing where like you'll see people bent over in like a physically, no,
I seen it. I see it in Desert Hot Springs all the time where it looks like a fucking like one of those birds. What's that fucking big bird? The giant bird that sticks its fucking
Ostrich.
Ostrich stick. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
That's what they look like.
Yeah.
Literally bent straight over.
Yeah, like the top of their skulls touching the ground, but they're standing
Yeah.
on their feet and
Yeah.
and in this weird frozen state for I don't know how long that lasts, but
Oh, I see it every day when I go to town.
Messed up.
Every day.
and
Much.
yeah, I wouldn't put it past our weird ass government and their craziness to like set up some weird spot and say, yeah, like let it flow. Let's just see what happens when you let people get to this level of addiction, which is like, yeah, that's what Kensington looks like. Because they
I
make
hope that's not. I don't know. Maybe let's change the subject because that just sounds uncomfortably strange. I think it's probably more likely that there's a lot of people who are just stuck in a cycle of fucking poverty and violence and drug abuse and everything else. There's plenty of cities in the country that have that. Baltimore was famous for that, and they made that show The Wire that was like a lot of middle Americans freaking wide open awakening to holy shit, we are actually like what do they call us, a third world country with a Gucci belt. And that's probably one of the best descriptions that I've ever heard. You got all this incredible wealth in Houston and Dallas and stuff, and then this incredible poverty around Houston and Dallas. I remember I had a coworker a number of years ago, and not that great of a job, but he was so fucking stoked because he was making almost twice the money he had been making like 2 weeks before. He had just moved from Houston, and I was like, how much money were you making? And this was like 20 years ago, and he was like, I was making $475. And I was like, fucking what? You were working for an hour of your life for $4.75, and this was again in like the 2000s or something, right? It was fucking nutty. And that was apparently like a good wage where he was, I mean, it was still minimum wage, but it was like, oh, that is a good job. It was a good job. Fuck, the amount of poverty that there is in this country, and then the amount of wealth too. This country really is like a third world country with a Gucci belt. So I'm honestly not surprised that there are entire streets of people who've been abandoned to drugs. It's kind of sad, honestly. You don't even have to create a conspiracy for that. It's just basically apathy more than anything else. A society that doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's been each city deals with different eras. Seems like, there was a time New York, the one side of New York was all squatters and all the empty buildings, and then they cleaned that up, and different cities deal with it. I follow a little bit about San Francisco. Because I love the Bay Area. Yeah, they got a problem there that's I don't know how they're going to turn the corner. It's the amount of money that it actually takes to really, do anything to help people. It's massive. And people have to.
Elon was told a year ago. So he was trolling on the internet as he always does. And someone was like, you could basically solve the fucking world's wealth or the world's hunger problems for a few $1 billion. I can't even remember what it was. And he was like, oh yeah, show me. And so sure enough, he got a bunch of plans, and a few of them were a little bit too rosy, but sure enough, he just ignored it and just freaking moved on.
Yeah, especially when
about Twitter.
Him throwing away a few billion isn't a big thing, right? That, well, whatever, throw a few billion at it, see what happens. Like that he definitely tries to appear like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about billions. I got hundreds of them.
Well, the truth of it is he does. He can lose 40, 50 billion on Twitter. He can just fucking write it off. Guy's still rich. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That is dangerous.
He woke up that morning and said, yeah, I don't want to buy Twitter. I'm just going to put this money towards something. Yeah, something like he could have.
No, that's how you know that none of those billionaires are worth a shit. to be perfectly honest, because even, everyone just sucks fucking Bill Gates's wiener, but basically that guy is somehow miraculously richer every single year. Somehow his foundation is bigger every single year, despite apparently giving all this money away tax deductibly and everything else, blah, 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 blah. Wouldn't you know it? It might just be structured in such a way to self-aggrandize himself and his entire fucking family for tax purposes. But anyway, everyone basically tries to suck his wiener. He could solve world hunger with his fucking fortune if he wanted to. He could solve any number of problems like a fucking light switch, but he doesn't, because it's just far more effective for him to have a lot of power and everything else. All those billionaires, none of them are worth a shit.
Yeah, I mean, my mom managed millionaires, not billionaires, but mainly entertainment. But I saw in my life that, yeah, there's a certain amount of money that once you get that, it rolls itself, and then it's its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get there, it's like, yeah, money makes money. It's its own thing.
And the connections you have when you have that kind of money, you get the first offer. Any lucrative business offer that comes along, you're going to be the first one that gets it. And sometimes those offers are spectacular. They're not going to send them to you or me or Greenfingers. They're going to send them to you, Mr. Billionaire.
Yeah, and you're able to pool with other people with large money and into investments.
Yeah.
Give you the edge. Like, I know, like today it's a lot. I think a lot of people losing money in it, but way back in the 80s, the windmills, so power was like this huge investment. A lot of them, like even out kind of where Flora lives, there's in California, there's operations that are wind power places. But yeah, at one point, a lot of people made a lot of money or in the early stages of that, buying up the land and just all aspects of it. And I remember, like, as a firm, they had a lot of clients and they all were in this one investment. It was like way at the early stage of that wind thing. And a lot of people made a lot of fucking money off that.
See more windmills around lately, by the way. I would totally have a windmill.
Well, I think some of it is the cost. I don't know.
They're kind of pricey. Yeah, the
technology improved. I
one.
noticed some of the places, the one in Alamont or in the Bay Area, they've slowly taken out the big ones and replaced them with smaller ones. Because I get those original ones, the Super Blade. It was all steel. It was super expensive. Like, and it's not as efficient. They have more efficient blades where they can make them smaller. And
yeah, they have all kinds of new ones. I'm just looking right now. I think they call them toroidal, but I can't find pictures. I can only find videos of them. Well, anyway, toroidal wind.
This is what nitrates will do for you.
Turbine. Give me some of them nitrates, which, by the way, are apparently really bad for us.
Really
Friend
bad.
of mine, here we go. Finally got a picture. Bacon and stuff like that. Apparently, super, super bad for us. A friend was telling me.
Very
I was like,
carcinogenic.
what? Say it ain't so. Bacon is amazing. And my friend was like, oh, I fucking love bacon too.
Highly carcinogenic.
So this is basically a toroidal propeller. And these are apparently far more efficient. They're a little bit more, well, actually, no, they're not difficult to make anymore, but
They tried it out. They tried that out here in Palm Springs, and they took it away.
the toroidal ones or what?
Yeah, that new one.
Huh? How come?
They're constantly coming out here. And all kinds of people from all over the world. They're constantly coming out. They're trying different wind technologies because it's so fucking windy. Like, we have one of the biggest wind farms in Palm Springs.
Interesting. Why did they take them down?
I don't know, but I used to see it. I saw it for about a year, and then it went away.
Maybe they were too good, and then Exxon bought them.
I don't know. It could just be it was there for testing purposes, and then when the test was over, they took it away.
No, maybe.
I remember there was a crazy weird German one that was like round and like it would like it was like a funnel out into the like funnel the air in and then that thing would spin. They took that one away too. Now we just have really big tall ones and really short ones. We got like two sizes right now. But yeah, it's
What I think some of
windy out
it
there.
is
Super
that
windy here.
the investment isn't as like, yeah, there might be better things, but who's paying for them?
Oh, so those things, the ones that we have, a lot of them aren't even used for California power. They're sold as carbon offsets to evil corporations that buy carbon offsets as like a tax write-off. There's a whole political agenda with those wind turbines. There's it's not just put this thing up, collect free energy from the air, give it to the people. No, that's not how it works.
It's a shame that everybody's always so freaking self-centered. They always say that society works best when old men plant trees that they'll never sit under the shade of. And we basically have the opposite. We have a society where old men chop down the trees that younger men planted and shit. You know what I mean? Like literally we have this society that's actively eating itself at every single side, like a snake eating both ends or something. It's fucking ludicrous. Like we should be building enormous solar farms and wind farms on a national scale, just because that would be the appropriate and intelligent thing to do. But of course we can't do that because that would require national planning.
The great thing about wind is that it works at night.
Yeah.
Right. So
all day long, no matter what.
Yeah, the offset the solar.
It's windy here too. We're kind of the same. I'm on the, I guess you could say, far side of the Columbia River Gorge, and it's still always windy, which is actually delightful because this house, for example, was built basically, and people were no fucking dummies back then. They probably stuck a finger up in the air and checked the wind. Sure enough, even if it's a hot day, in the morning and the evening, it'll be a cool day. So if you basically close the house down during the daytime, the house stays cool throughout the entire fucking day. And then in the evening and in the morning, it blows right through east to west, basically, because the Columbia River Gorge is blowing wind constantly through. And wouldn't you know it, 365 days a year in the Columbia River Gorge, like Hood River and freaking whatever, basically that's probably the most famous town. There's kite sailing and freaking windsurfing and whatever the shit, because literally all day long, day and night, there is wind. 365 days a year, day and night, 24 hours a day, constant fucking wind. And so sure enough, there's also wind farms and everything else. What am I trying to say? I was going somewhere with that. There was a whole point to that, and I just lost my train of thought.
You need to smoke a bowl.
No, I think I've smoked too much of that Acapulco Gold. That stuff is delightful. I'm highly enjoying it.
Is that something that you can get a cut of?
I don't know. It was from a local farm, so I'm like, oh shit, maybe, because most of these farms, I hate to say it, most of these farms just get cuts from places that you can eventually find at the dispensaries. Like literally, there's a couple different nurseries. Philos has a freaking dispensary. They call themselves Phenos or some shit now. And a couple of the cuts that I've gotten from them have been disturbingly good. One cut was trash, actually. One cut I'm just about to throw away, which makes me kind of sad because I'm like, man, I like that genetic, but it's actually just been trash. But what was I going to say? Next Generation Nursery. There's a few other different places, and they basically sell to farms, dispensaries, and consumers at different price points, essentially. It's kind of idiotic when you think about it. It used to be like, oh my god, I got the so and so cut of such and such. Well, now they sell it at so and so for $10.
No, that's the same thing here. It's you have nursery, basically a nursery license, right? You have a commercial nursery, and all of their cuts are metric labeled cuts. And so, yeah, a lot of them are sold to because a lot of the farms, a lot of the cultivation sites, they don't keep moms. So they're buying every round. They're buying, hundreds of, maybe thousands at a time of clones. And so what happens is a lot of these places will make like Dark Heart, right? They'll make or Seed Junkie, right? They'll make they'll make up a round that might be 100,000 clones for a group of clients, and then there's 500 of them left over spare, and then those will go to the dispensaries that sell clones, and they're metric cuts, right? So then you wind up with the same cut as that's dispensary.
Yeah, my nephew's business is that they just, yeah, most of the clients buy at least by the hundreds, but thousands of clones. And I don't know this, but I noticed that it's a California place, but they have a lot of like ethos and a lot of legit genetics, but not California ones, which I think like, yeah, I don't know if they pay ethos to have their clone, or I don't know how all that works, but it'd probably be harder for someone to take action against a company in another state, meaning like, oh, if you were selling Seed Junkie, who's based in California's genetics that way as a business, there might be recourse. But a company in Denver, how are they coming after a company in California that's basically like these clones that I just put in the soil? They're Banana God and White Wedding. They're two ethos strains that's on their menu for the last, I don't know, a couple of years. It's one of their.
Well, to be sold in California, I don't know. In fairness, they might have gotten it before Metric, but probably Ethos has a California company.
To have his, I doubt it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, you can still enter genetics into Metric.
like I know that some of these
different states are different. California, you can still put, yeah, there's still some methods.
And like the truth is, if it's a Metrics customer, and then they put the tags on when they, and that whole tag, there's no supervision. Like even at the nursery level, there's less, because the amount of manpower it would take to oversee all these licenses is massive.
Listen to this chai blend that Atomic Spoon gets from a guy named Harish, who can twirl the ends of his mustache. It even has rose petals in the blend. It's an organic chai. It's got cinnamon, cardamom, fennel, black peppercorns, which are actually red because the guy uses the whole pepper. Waller, that sounds good. Atomic Spoon. He's apparently making some real chai right now.
Thanks for reminding me. I gotta go get pepper after.
Nice, D. Right on.
Sorry, I'm late.
Look at that jasmine.
Yeah,
Nice.
every
Jasmines are
year
not blooming
when
here.
it blooms, I move it in the house right here in the entryway. Usually it's
'Cause
outside.
it smells nice, probably.
Yeah, the whole house. The whole house smells.
That's awesome.
Maybe
Right
for
on.
a couple weeks, month, it'll start shedding all those little flowers. It'll get messy. I'll put it outside until
cool.
next year.
That's cool.
Actually, that was not my idea. My wife did that every year, same plant. So I continue the tradition. And yeah, bringing a jasmine in your house when it's blooming is, if you like that smell, is good.
Yeah. Some people don't actually like that smell. How funny is that? No, it's a nice freaking smell.
That's one of my favorites.
I brought up some jasmines a few years ago. Now they're beautiful, big old
You know
freaking jasmine
Clancy?
plants.
Theodore?
Pardon?
You know Clancy, Alpha Chronic?
I don't think so.
It's very good. Alpha Chronic Genetics. It was a Portland guy. You should. He's got amazing stuff. And one of his lines was based off of a snow dog. It was gifted to him by Subcool.
Come up.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hop off.
Here's
like
Jeff. I
something.
think that's
Yeah.
about the right timing. Good to see you, buddy. Clancy.
Yeah, thanks
Alpha
everyone.
Chronic.
Good seeing everyone. D, Three Fingers, Bud, Laura.
Now I
Yeah,
heard
man.
For everything.
you said no show
Good to see you,
tonight.
Jeff.
Right.
What's that, bud?
No show tonight. That's coming.
Are you disappointed?
Yeah, I'm just. Yeah,
Right?
I like content. It's part of my.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
Well, D, you weren't on earlier, so we were talking. We were like, oh, we might take the night off. How do you feel about that? Oh, we can't hear you.
Muted. Sure. Sounds good. Whatever you
Right
guys
on.
think.
Well, my apologies, bud. I guess I don't know. Maybe you'll have to talk to yourself, or I don't know. Green Fingers, how about you go live, buddy? Start
Talk
the
to the
Green
dog.
Fingers. Green Fingers is Green Grows It channel. There you go.
And
Where you
either
talk only about green shit.
He is a double header. The Dead start in St. Louis at 5, and then Billy Stream is at 6:30. Start in Oklahoma. So, like, I call that a double header. And a lot of times, I'm excited. 2 concerts tonight, but yeah, it's like if you go to the movies and then you watch the movie you paid for and then think, oh, I'm going to sneak in and watch another one. Sometimes 2 movies in a short period of time is just too much. Like 2 concerts in the same whatever amount of hours. A couple times I realized, yeah, that's too much. I'm over it. But we'll see how the night goes.
I got the Denver Nuggets, smash on that Miami Heat.
There you go.
What series going? Who's there?
Tied 1-1.
Oh, okay.
That's right. It's already June. Yeah, it's going to be over soon. Huh?
Yeah, it's like June. That means half of 23 is gone.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah, it has flown by.
And
Absolutely
like
surreal.
it's such a great year, but 23 was definitely better than 22, 21. I can't so I was hoping it'd go a little slower because I like 23 because it's a prime number. I would always think it would be a good year, 23. Yeah. And sure enough, it's not the greatest year, but it's definitely been better than years past. I'll say that. Past few at least.
Dude, that pandemic. Let's not fucking repeat that, shall we? What the fuck?
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know to other people, but I can't wrap it's just like a blur. Even like sometimes I don't even really know when did it happen?
Yeah, fucked up
Oh
time.
fuck!
For
It
all
was
of
like
us.
2.5 years. Yeah, it stretched on for so long.
Weird.
Started in like 2020. This is it kept going.
2019 feels like it was 10 years ago.
Fuck yeah.
Then you remember like 2000 like it was yesterday.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And like myself, we were like in the middle of my wife's murder trial, or not at the middle. We were at the beginning of it when COVID hit. And so like most of what I remember about it was all the twists and turns and things in the court being shut down and all that. It was like such stress over. Yeah, the courts were one of the last things that got back going, and it created a big problem. That was like at the time this huge stress in my life, but it ended up, it worked out and it's done and the conviction and all that. But at the time, COVID was like, I was like, it's hard to explain. Like, that there were, just like we have YouTube and Zoom for this, there was like a period of time when the whatever you call it, the appearances were only on YouTube, basically. The defendant didn't leave the jail either. Like everybody was in their spot. The judge was at her house. Somehow, but there'd still be these I guess hearings on YouTube, and I'd get up in the morning and they would always say, it starts at 9. And a lot of times our case, because it was the only significant one, would be last. So I'd watch hours of other cases waiting for ours. And I just remember this. A lot of people had their cases dismissed because of the COVID. That was like a get out of jail free card, basically, because we have a constitutional right to a speedy trial. And once that can't be met, they dropped the case. And
It's
so a lot of
interesting because I remember when they were talking about Weinstein, people on Reddit, and I hope Reddit doesn't go away in the next couple months. But anyway, people were talking about how they were saying, oh, he has more court dates and blah, 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 blah. And they were talking about basically how actually court dates are kind of awful for the defendants when they're incarcerated, because basically they have to pack like a sack lunch. They don't even get like a regular lunch. They get shuttled back and forth. They're oftentimes on super low sleep because they have to wake up super early because they're from some fucking county jail. What's that?
And they usually take you to court at like 3:34 in the morning.
Fuck.
And put you in this
Or
little
cell
tiny
time.
cell on the court thing, and you just sit in there and wait and wait and wait and wait. And yeah, it's definitely not fun going to
Jesus.
court.
Huh.
And don't forget being squished into a tiny little prison thing. All the prisoners going to this tiny little
True.
thing
Holding cells.
to go to court, shackled and handcuffed together, too.
That's rough. Well, so I don't know. On the bright side, I guess maybe that was less sadistic for some of the prisoners. I don't even know. I don't know. Anyway, on a brighter note, Atomic Spoon is changing the subject completely. He's saying, I can't get over how good these TO by BPR are going through flower. I actually named that one Sauron. It's not a public release, but it was a release to, I crossed that one to the Coot Special, and that one basically, I crossed 3 different ones of the Saurons to Coot Specials. It became the Dark Lord, the Deceiver, and the Evil Eye. And by the way, I found a few more seeds of the Evil Eye. Not many, like 3-4 packs, but just a few. Anyway, Sauron.
Like the CPU.
The unseen evil. That's it.
I was thinking like Intel, like they named their processor to Celeron, like the lesser.
Oh no,
processor.
Sauron. Yeah. Because I was like, Coot's being a dick. That's why. I was like, that's because it was supposed to be like a happy thing. I was honestly trying to breed in strength basically to my BPR. And so I thought, oh, what better than this, former friend of the show. I thought he was still a friend of the show at the time. And then he turned out to not be a friend of the show. So I was like, all right. Yeah. Instead of any of the names I was thinking about.
I last week I cracked probably 7 varieties, mainly Kaya, Dime Breed, a few others. But then these were the ones I should do them today. I got a pack from Exotic Mike that's
Exotic for a long time.
I can't hear my glasses. Someone told me that I should
5 different packs from
Grapes and Rainbow Chip is what it's called. So that one probably getting popped today. And then Crockett, he gave me this pack. Well, he had fun. You could pick one, and I picked what is called Sour 98. So it's pre-98 Bubba into Sour D from Crockett, which may be good in there. And then DNA, they had a free seed day release, but it's feminized seed. That's fine. It's DNA Cake crossed into 93 octane. I'm doing that one. And then AG Seed Co. I guess that's, or Bloom Seed Co. Yeah, that's I forget the guy's name. OGKB Cinderella crossed into Cinderella 99. I got a bunch of those seeds, so I'm going to do those. I guess that's. Oh, and Soulfire hood candies, because it's got the Don Mega in it, and I want to do that one too. And then that might be it for the remainder of the year, as far as new seeds. That's already maybe like a dozen.
Yeah, well, you're already 6 months into the year right now, so yeah, probably will be it.
Yeah, yeah. These are just search through indoor. I have other things that I plan on doing outdoor, but like already, maybe I'm a little too late. I have an Acapulco Gold, a Panama Red, a couple other haze things in my seed collection that as I acquired them or I have them, they've always been in my mind been like, oh, I'll run that one outside. The most of my seed thing is inside and trying to, like it outdoor, I just grow them. I wouldn't necessarily take clones of them, and I would think that those ones would be better. And it's not that late. If I got them like going, it would probably be all right this year still. But there's plants already in place, so yeah, missed this year. So yeah, I've had this Acapulco Gold that I've wanted to run outside, I think at 3 years now, and each year somehow I haven't cracked them. I could
take a cut and send me one, bud.
Right.
Well, it's Acapulco Gold in the runs, but all right, it's still legit Acapulco.
I was going to say the rainbow chip, I think, is not 100% sure on this, but I think it was basically the runts crossed into the cookies and cream to be rainbow chip. And then that was crossed, you said, to the grape something or other. That should be really super flavorful. Should be super nice.
Oh, it is weird, like, because especially at pre-seed day, I got a lot of seeds. There's certain names, mainly because of what I hear on YouTube and Instagram. Like, I don't know Exotic Mike from anything, but I hear things and people seem to like his stuff. And Bloom Seco, DNA, of course, I know from years, and Crockett. But then there's a lot of packs. Sometimes I realize as I'm chasing, I guess, the name brand or the ones that already have some kind of, talk or branding, that in a lot, like I have bags of seeds over the years. A lot of the ones that are just so-and-so that did whatever work. Sometimes I think that's where the magic is at, in those. Like a lot of times the
I agree.
Name ones, yeah. Unless something's really good, you just won't hear me say anything about it again. I'm not the type that says, oh yeah, I did this and then it sucked. I never say that. But when something's good, I'll like say, fuck.
Dirty.
I even know my friend hasn't made it out from Sedona. He's really exclusively runs it and buys packs from that guy Symbiotic in Sacramento for years now. And any of the plants that he's ever brought me, I have nothing but excellent things to say about Symbiotic, because any time I ran some of his stuff, it rocked, right? But I don't know him from Adam either, but I know that when I ran his shit, it was good, and I kept it. Like I ran it for cycles. The one that my friends had for a while that I could buy it. It's his latest strain. It's called Kombucha. I forget what the cross is, but yeah, somehow my friend hasn't come out with it. He did. He came for Willie. He came for Neil Young. He came for the Dead, but he didn't have clones ready, or he didn't want to drive with whatever happened. He didn't bring them. He's coming again in a few weeks, and then hopefully he'll bring them.
Well, next time.
Kombucha.
Ladies and germs, I think we might bounce. Sorry to disappoint Bud over there for a no content night, but he's gonna have to soak his tears in his 2 concerts that he gets to enjoy. So hopefully that'll be enough happiness for the evening.
Yeah, and there'll be some content.
Treat yourself to an ice cream cone or something.
Probably.
Go watch Casey Neistat on repeat or something. Go watch him fly drones around, or I don't know, Formula One races or something. I don't know.
Go outside.
Exactly. Go outside, see the bright outdoors. Exactly right. I think I'm gonna try my kayak today. I got a kayak yesterday. My fucking shoulder hurts like fucking ass balls, but I'm too excited to try it. So I don't know. I think I might go out there and try it.
You
a
going
little
to
bit.
Columbia with that?
We'll see. Well, I mean, eventually, yes, but I'm just trying to figure out if I want to paddle that hard to paddle upstream and stuff. So I don't know, I might just go to the Willamette today. It's nice and slow. Or I might even go to like a lake. So there's literally like basically no current. We'll see. Because I probably shouldn't fucking paddle, honestly. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. My shoulder's just getting better a little bit. I don't want to re-exacerbate the problem. So, but at the same time, I'm very excited to try the fucking kayak.
A bird is all of a sudden a bird tried to fly. There's a bird back here somewhere. Oh, there he is.
Oh, inside?
Oh,
Bird in the house.
there he flew out. My dogs, they were shocked. By the time it happened, they don't even realize a bird was like right there for them to get.
There was
This
a UFO in the house.
His bird.
Doug's like, we hear reports of UFOs. Woof, woof.
Woof, woof. Hey, it's gone.
The fuck was that? I don't know. It was, aliens. Ladies and germs, good to see you. Cheers, Jack Beanstalk. Nice to see you, my friend. Cheers, Zesty Air. Good to see you as well. Who else in here? Nathaniel Chambers is already fucked off for the day. Good to see you, Nathaniel. Matthew Jonak. Good to see you, Rez. Nice to see you. Tread Water in the house. Good to see you, Tread. Welcome everyone to the show, and thanks very much for tuning in, my friends. Who wants to be the first? I've been saying victim lately. Who wants to be the first
I'll see you guys.
saluter? Go for it. Cheers, Flora.
All right. See you guys maybe Saturday.
Yeah, man.
Otherwise Tuesday. All right.
That's it.
Peace.
Cheers, buddy. Yeah, man. Later. I think Little Birdie said that there are some clones incoming from Flora. That's very exciting. Go for it, Bud Kilowatt. You want to go for it? Go.
Yeah, I'll see you Saturday. Nice safety
Oh,
meeting.
man. Cheers, bud.
Have a good few days, everyone.
Yeah, man. Welcome. Cheers, buddy. Go for it, Green Fingers.
All right, everybody. Jamie, thanks for having me
Yeah,
on.
man. Cheers, buddy.
Peace.
Later, bud. Ladies and germs, thank you very much for hanging out. This was a chill safety meeting. We just kind of went a little bit late and kind of goofed off. No guests this week, and we just basically chatted like chatty little Cathys. We did, ladies and germs. But we had a great guest last night. If you did not see it over on the main channel, so to speak, this is, I guess, channel 2, you could say. So if you guys are new to the Fumidoro Network, the extensive Fumidoro Network worldwide, kind of like WorldStar, I guess. But if you guys are new by some chance, this is channel 2, I guess you could say, and channel 1 over there, basically at Fumidor and the Flavors. We had a lovely interview with Jorge Cervantes yesterday, a guy that's originally from not far from here, actually, on Ontario, Oregon, actually a little bit farther from here, a little bit over on Eastern Oregon. A little bit over on, I was thinking it was in Western Oregon, but I think it's actually over Eastern Oregon a little bit. Cattle country, I believe. But anyway, really beautiful place there. The stars there, you have no idea how beautiful the Milky Way is and stuff. It's just otherworldly. If you think you live in a lovely place with lovely sky, it's even better there. It's crazy. I mean, maybe you live in Montana or something, but still, chances are good that they have better sky over in Ontario. It's nutty. Anyway, kind of funny to think that he's basically traversed this entire cannabis history. Basically, he was talking yesterday about knowing such and such legend and such and such legend and such and such legend. And, as he's talking about just rattling off these names, Flora in the private little Zoom chat was like, oh man, these are all legends. It was kind of funny to hear it and think about it. And then I asked him, arguably the stupidest question of the evening, but hey, he took it really nicely. Ladies and gentlemen, go hear his answer to stupid questions and hopefully intelligent questions over at Fumidor and the Flavors. Yesterday we talked to him for right about an hour, I think, and I got the feeling he might come back again, hopefully in the future. So hopefully the first of more episodes, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meantime, please do subscribe to both channels, ladies and germs. If you're not subscribed to this one, if you're just listening in by any chance, please do subscribe. It will help immensely. It'll help a lot if you like and share and subscribe the videos, of course. Tell your friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is very challenging to grow these channels on YouTube. But if you do like the content, a lot of times on this channel, I'm trying to make it a little bit more scripted. Not scripted, so to speak, but more less formal, shall we say, than I've allowed it to get on the bigger channel. We'll see how the bigger channel goes, because I have said that those kind of live shows don't really work anymore. So I don't know. We'll see where I can go with it. I would very much like to get some debates going. It would be super fun to get like a regular debate series going, or even a regular breeder panel going. That would be really fun. A lot of work to get that done, though. So we'll see if I can get that happening. If you guys are interested, of course, please do let me know. That would be very helpful to know that you guys actually enjoy the content, because it is obviously a lot of work. And of course, it would be really nice if you guys tell your friends and all that kind of stuff. And of course, one intensely good way that you guys can help out and show me that you do want to see more of what I'm doing is to check out. I guess I didn't do a commercial yesterday, so why don't we do one today, ladies and gentlemen? Briefly, my friends, since I'm pretty sure most of you are regulars. Do I have my page website thingy pulled up? I do. It's right here. Of course, I don't have it. There we go. Scripts activated. There we go. Pulling it up on veggie flowering tips, ladies and gentlemen. You guys can feel free to click on that page right there, where I share some of my recommendations for growing times and stuff. I click on a little time date calculator thingy that you can basically play around with. I think it's a really fun tool, basically, to analyze, if you have never thought about it before. Hey, where do my strains come from? Where do my breeding lines, I keep trying to say, where do the breeding lines come from? Where do these ties come from? Where do these Afghans come from? Where do these freaking California strains that we talk about come from? I literally just said breeding lines. Anyway, where do these different varietals, we'll call them for a moment, come from? They come from different places, and those latitudes have very different requirements in terms of sun and shade, everything else. The plants have, in many cases, evolved, even if it's just for a few generations, adapted maybe to very different ecosystems. Durban poison, something that we very, very commonly talk about as this really crazy narrow leaf sativa. Goodness gracious, you might think mentally that it comes from some extraordinarily warm place. Durban is not an extraordinarily warm place. It's quite temperate. It's honestly, apparently, fairly close to Portland, fucking Oregon, wouldn't you goddamn know? But it's all the way south, and so you don't think about it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, look at the map. It's always quite helpful, said every navigator ever. Take a look, of course, also at the shopping page, ladies and gentlemen, where you will look at the breeding lines available. I realize that the navigation there is still clunky, and my apologies. I'd like to get those photos back on there, but well, that's a problem for another day, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, though, those were the sour Ron crosses. Atomic Spoon was kind of getting the joke, but anyway, I don't know. We'll see. I might run with those in the future. They are really nice genetics, honestly. They are. Atomic Spoon is discovering that himself. I did not like the male that I selected, but that was more just basically my selection than anything else. Strain is lovely. So I may frankly work on it a little bit more. That was the idea, to work on it more and basically create whole new males and females basically from that to enhance the breeding line in the future. But I don't know, that thread, literally that thread has currently been put on hold. So we'll see. Literally because of just shitty behavior. It's really fucking just shitty fucking behavior. What are you gonna do? Anyway, moving on, ladies and gentlemen, take a look, my friends, at Gaffer Tape. That's GG4 by, of course, that Coot Special, Highland Tie Kerala. That's going to be a fucking skull thumper right there. Black Soma Morgana. That's going to be an extremely high yielding, probably very colorful cross and quite well adapted already to the Northwest. You're going to enjoy that one. That's going to be a skull thumper as well. Oblivion, not a whole lot of seeds on that one, so please do not snooze on that one, ladies and gentlemen. That is, of course, Memory Loss. We're talking about Archive, really delightful Super Silver Haze, Amnesia Haze, across the Face Off OG, and then across that to the aggressively sativa Highland Tie Kerala. That's going to be an absolute delight, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, Pacifica Days is something I'm quite proud of right now. I'm going to be breeding quite a bit more with that Oaxacan. I really love that plant. She especially thrives in the summer. A little birdie told me that she's currently getting a little bit of the sexy time dance right now. So you guys might find a perhaps version 2 of Pacifica Days in the near future. But in the meantime, try version 1 of Pacifica Days. Excellent fucking plant on that mom. Basically salty, almost sweaty, kind of like, yeah, armpit skunky. It's really just a great freaking high, like peel your face off, giggly, but really lit high. Maybe one of the strongest, like Gosh, that's an interesting question. If it would be, if I was asking myself, what question, Fumidor? No, the question that I asked myself, probably I should say out loud. Which ones of these are the strongest? In different ways. So, for example, the Great Pie is strong in a very different way. She's more giggly, uplifting, serene, blissful, but still you get fucking lit. You get the red eyes and so on. Interesting. I'll have to think about that one of these days. But anyway, long story short, instead of babbling in your ears, the Oaxacan Thunderfuck is spectacular. I am sure the Pacifica Days will be spectacular as well. I'm growing a few of those, and hopefully, maybe if it's going to grow fast enough, I might have one outdoors. Can't promise on that one. We'll see, though. We'll see. Sour Morgana, ladies and gentlemen, just finishing up a crop of those. I'm really quite liking what I see, and actually somewhat surprised that really there's very little color in this seed run, basically. So the Black Prince Ruby lended quite a bit of leaf shape, morphology, seemingly flavor. We haven't sampled it yet, but quite a bit of her normal, or his normal offerings, I guess, because it was the male. And yet did not really purvey all that much color. So I guess the green phenotype in the Sour Morgana is quite dominant on this cross. So ladies and germs, you're going to get quite a bit of that sour cherry, hopefully a little bit of the berry flavors from that Black Prince Ruby, with quite a bit of the resistances, and also that short flowering window, that Black Prince Ruby. Basically, at this point, it's about 3/4. You could almost call this a Black Prince Ruby F3 or something. It's about 3/4 Black Prince Ruby, this Sour Morgana is, because, of course, the mom was Prototype Morgana. That was Cuvée F2 to the Ruby Jack F2. And then, of course, that was crossed back now to the Black Prince Ruby father to create this now Sour Morgana seeds. Anyway, I think I got that right. Okay, 3/4 Ruby Jack or Black Prince Ruby, because Black Prince Ruby is a derivative of Ruby Jack. So that's not exactly right, accurate. I should say it accurately. Anyway, I'm really fond of this so far, ladies and gentlemen. I think you guys are enjoying it instead of fucking nerding out in babblistry. Let's make that a word. Babblistry. That's probably basically this show. I should rename it Babblistry. But in the meantime, take a look, my friends. Sour Morgana, or of course Morgana V2, if you want a far more colorful and yet short finishing phenotype, or short finishing pack of seeds. Those strains that I mentioned earlier, Pacifica Days and Oblivion and so on, those are roughly 70-day crosses. Morgana V2 and Sour Morgana, ladies and gentlemen, are absolutely less than 60 days, or right around there. Lime River Rose V2. I need to put that one on the website as well. Actually, I've got finally some pictures thanks to customers. Thank you very much. People are liking that one too, ladies and germs. That one is available, my friends. Just to ask if you would like it. And don't forget to use the coupon code BRAINZ, BRAINZ, for 14% off. Current freebie, I still keep forgetting. I even have the note in front of me and I still haven't done it. Keep forgetting to change the freebie to Midnight Matrimony, ladies and gentlemen. It is White Wedding to that same Black Prince Ruby male. So the same male that if you guys have a pack of Picurus, it will be the same male, basically, that was crossed to the Picurus swine flu mom, but I used White Wedding, actually, from Ethos. Thanks very much to Noob Grows for that. A couple packs of seeds, actually, from way back in the day. Slowly but surely, I was running through them, 3 plants at a time, and I found a white wine phenotype finally. And it's a weird wave of sleepiness just then. Anyway, ladies and germs, we are taking the show off, or taking the night off this evening, ladies and Germans. Ladies and Germans, it's only going to be Germans watching tonight. But in the meantime, ladies and germs, we're going to be taking the night off, so I hope you guys take the night off as well. Puff something nice tonight. I don't know, take your special friend, if you have one, out, walk your dog, or I don't know if you have a cat, maybe put it on a leash and walk that if the cat enjoys it. I've seen more and more people walking their cats lately, and the cats are like into it in a weird way. So surprising. Anyway, but in the meantime, I'm getting texts. I should probably check those. Thank you, my friends. What is Lugo saying here? Do you know who grew my AG, by the way? I'd like to find a bit more about it. Do I know who grew my AG? Why am I not understanding this? This is obviously something very clear, but why am I not understanding my AG, I cannot be that stupid. My AG. Okay, Lugo, what are you talking about with the AG? I'm apparently pretty stupid. My AG, not my Alaskan Thunderfuck, my Oaxacan Thunder. No, Acapulco Gold. You see, Karmic Elevation Cannabis. I don't know them. I'll have to ask. I'll go to Treehouse maybe and ask them again. Should have gone today. Apparently they have specials every Wednesday and Sunday. And every time I go there, they're like, you realize we have specials on Wednesdays and Sundays. And every time I go, I'm like, oh, fuck off. So yeah, could have saved $10 if I'd gone there today. But in the meantime, next time I will try to remember, ladies and gentlemen, to go there and ask them about Karmic Elevation Cannabis, because I really would like that Acapulco Gold. It's delightful. It's fucking delightful. Oh, super nice. There was a time that I thought the Coot Special had Acapulco Gold in it because, of course, Coot actually told me that. Let's not go there. Anyway, I was super excited about it too, and it even morphologically sort of seemed that way because the first mail that I pulled out kind of looked like Acapulco Gold. Anyway, regardless, ladies and germs, thanks very much for hanging, my friends. Be kind, be decent, be gentle, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to be better people, hopefully, than some of the people you've met in life. I screwed that up completely. Be kind, be decent, be gentle. Don't be fucking pricks. There we go. Don't be pricks, dicks, or lunatics, ladies and gentlemen. Always sound advice, I find. Don't forget to puff something wonderful. D said we'll be doing a takeover this Saturday. Flora didn't want to announce it, maybe because he wants to confirm, but he has a great guest. He told me who the guest is. Super interesting guest. I think you guys will enjoy super much. Go check that out. I think he said earlier in the day, hopefully. In the meantime, folks, we'll be here, of course, next Tuesday, and of course, following Wednesday, basically a week from today, we'll be here for High Noon Safety Meeting, hopefully with a new guest, ladies and Germans. I have not yet gotten a guest, but hopefully I'll get one. That's the nature of this live show. Basically, we pretty much sign up the guests as we can get them. One of these days I would like to have guests scheduled weeks ahead of time, but yeah, it would take me a little bit of organization and all that kind of stuff to get there. So we'll get there, ladies and gentlemen. If you have recommendations of people that I should ask, that would be very helpful, honestly, because sometimes I can't think of who I want to email. And sometimes it takes me 10 tries to email somebody. Anyway, what can you do? Not complaining, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for hanging, my friends. Like I said, please do subscribe to both channels if you can, Fumidoro and the Flavors, and of course this channel, Fumidoro. And until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, later, Gators, and baked potatoes.